Chapter 309. Defeating Li Xianxian, gaining little fangirls _6. First, heat up the rapeseed oil, then add in the broad bean sauce to bring out the reddish oil, followed by a fragrant blend of green onion, ginger, garlic, star anise, cinnamon bark, and Sichuan pepper. Soon, the kitchen was filled with a tantalizing aroma. Once the base sauce was ready, add water and bring it to a boil. Add the marinated meat slices, then place the pre-boiled bean sprouts and tofu skin in a large bowl, and ladle in the boiled meat slices. The meat slices should not be boiled for too long, otherwise they will become stiff and tough, which will affect the texture. Then, sprinkle roasted sesame seeds, green onions, cilantro, and Sichuan pepper on top of the meat slices. Finally, pour the heated rapeseed oil over it. With a sizzling sound, a large bowl of appetizing boiled meat slices was ready. Yang could control the heat perfectly, so the texture of the boiled meat slices was superb. It had a spicy, fresh scent, and was incredibly tender. It was so good that one could hardly stop eating. With a piece of boiled meat slices, one could eat several mouthfuls of rice. Delicious, it's so delicious. Chingue excitedly said, Yang, what is this dish called? Yang replied with a smile, this is called boiled meat slices. Boiled meat slices? Where does this dish come from? Chingue asked. Yang replied, this is a dish from Sichuan and Chongqing. I saw it in a food recipe. Chingue nodded. Yang, you are amazing. After dinner, Yang told Cuehua that she was going to be out of town the next day. Cuehua expressed her concerns. Yang, is it safe for a girl like you to travel that far? Chingue said, Yang, if you like, I can go with you. The shop will be fine with Jean, she has 2 others to help her. I heard that Guangguan can be quite chaotic. Guangguan is near our country, where it has always been rather turbulent, with a mix of different types of people and plenty of hooligans. Yang smiled and said, don't worry. We are living in a society governed by law now, and besides I am not alone. Brother Mo is coming with me. Upon hearing that Mo Qishan would be accompanying her, Cuehua and Chingue were immediately relieved. When will you be back then? Cuehua asked. Yang answered, it takes 2 days to travel from Beijing to Guangguan by train, and I'll need some time to run errands. All in all, it'll take about a week to return. Knowing that Yang had important things to do, Cuehua did not say more and simply nodded. Alright Yang, you can go without worries. Your auntie and I will take care of the home. Don't stay up late tonight, rest early. You'll need to get up early tomorrow. The next morning, Yang woke up at a little past 5. By 7:30, when she arrived at the train station, she saw that Mo Qishan was already waiting for her on the platform with his suitcase. Brother Mo. Mo Qishan raised his eyes and saw the girl running towards him. Yang, no need to run, we still have plenty of time. Mo Qishan extended his hand to steady Yang's arm. Shall we go into the station? Yes. Mo Qishan nodded and reached out to take her suitcase. The 2 of them walked side by side to the sleeper car. A sleeper car compartment had 4 beds. When Mo Qishan and Yang entered, the 2 upper bunks were still unoccupied. Yang stowed her suitcase under the bed, then took out some money from her bag. Brother Mo, raised the money for the train ticket. Mo Qishan was about to refuse. After all, what's wrong with buying a train ticket for his future wife? All his money would be hers in the future anyway. But then Yang continued, Brother Mo, if you don't accept it, I won't travel with you next time. Inherently, Yang was never one to depend on men. Though it was true that she had feelings for Mo Qishan, never did she have the thought of relying on him. Upon hearing her words, Mo Qishan had no choice but to accept. Even though it was time for the train to depart, the 2 people who were supposed to occupy the upper bunks had not arrived. But Yang didn't think much of it. Maybe those 2 berths simply were not sold. After all, sleeper tickets were quite expensive. It was quite warm inside the car, and Yang removed her jacket, revealing a loose-fitting white knitted sweater underneath. Despite the oversized fit, it couldn't hide her curvaceous figure, particularly when she bent over to adjust the blankets. Mo Qishan uncomfortably averted his gaze, his ears turning slightly red, and silently pulled the blanket over himself. Brother Mo, do you want to eat something? Young offered him a bag of sunflower seeds. Mo Chishan cleared his throat with a light cough. No. Young then handed over a cup of milk tea. Then have a cup of milk tea. Your throat sounds a bit uncomfortable. The tips of Mo Chishan's ears went red again for an instant. He reached out to take the milk tea. Thank you. Young chuckled lightly. Brother Mo, when did you start being so polite to me? Mo Chishan stopped talking, put the straw in, and began to drink the milk tea. The cool milk tea soothed his throat, seemingly easing the heat in his heart. With Mo Chishan's company, the train journey was not boring at all. They chatted all the way until the afternoon when Young, leaning against the wall, yawned lazily. I'm feeling a bit sleepy, Brother Mo, are you tired? Her eyes were sparkling with a soft glint of water, making Mo Chishan's heart skip a beat. I'm all right. Mo Chishan's voice was low. You go ahead and sleep. Young crawled under the blanket. I'll take a nap then. Before long, even breaths could be heard from under the blanket. When Young fell asleep, she also pulled her head under the blanket. Mo Chishan had once read a psychology book. The book stated that those who liked to sleep this way often lacked a sense of security. Mo Chishan pulled back the blanket and walked over to Young. He gently pulled back her blanket, revealing a face with exquisite features. Pretty girls, even their sleeping expressions are beautiful. Mo Chishan gazed at her attentively, reached out, and touched the thick eyelashes that looked like a fan. Young, can I give you a sense of security from now on? Young, who was in deep sleep, seemed to sense something, and rubbed her eyes. Mo Chishan was startled and quickly jumped back onto the upper bunk. Seeing that Young didn't make any further movement, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. He truly liked her a lot. Just being with her, even if they did nothing, made his heart sweet as honey. Young slept until a little past 5 in the evening. When she woke up, Mo Chishan had bought some box meals back. Young, now that you're awake, we can have dinner. MHM. Young nodded. I'll go wash my face first. It was nearing evening, and the lights in the train's aisles were dim. When Young arrived at the lavatory, she bumped into a little girl. The girl's father, who was following behind, immediately apologized. I'm sorry, comrade. Mimi, quickly apologize to your sister. Chapter 310. Righteous Yang, Mystery Boss Confession _1. The little girl, wearing a white shirt and denim overalls, with red little leather shoes and 2 small braids, was quite eye-catching. Her large watery eyes were absolutely beautiful. Upon hearing this, she immediately bent over to apologize. I'm sorry, sister. I didn't mean to. Young bent down to pat the little girl's head, laughing as she said, It's all right. The father and daughter left the aisle and Young turned into the restroom. The little girl whispered softly, Dad, that lady just now was so pretty. Even prettier than Mom. Shush. The man made a quiet gesture. Mimi, lower your voice. Be careful not to let your mother hear. The little girl quickly covered her mouth in response. The father and daughter moved towards the sleeping car. As they passed a tall, slender woman, her originally tired expression instantly brightened up. Adorable. This little girl was just so adorable. Not just adorable but pretty as well. The tall, slender woman reconsidered her path and headed into the compartment. Inside the compartment, various voices of snoring could be heard. The tall, thin woman slapped the sleeping man beside her. Wake up already, there's business to be had. At her words, the man immediately woke up. Where? How old? The tall, thin woman lowered her voice. She seems to be around 4 or 5 years old. We should keep a close eye. There were 3 types of box meals on the train. One was 3 cents per serving. Another was 8 cents. The last one was 2 yuan. The one that Mo Chishan bought was 2 yuan, containing fried eggs, braised pork, and braised fish cubes. Even though the meal was rich, perhaps because it was cooked in a large pot, the taste was not very good. Mo Chishan could not eat more than a few bites, but Young on the opposite side was eating very seriously. Every single bite, not a grain of rice was left. Young had walked out of hard times. She knew the difficulty of obtaining food, so she held a sublime respect for the food. No matter when, she would not waste it. This feeling might only be understood by those who have experienced hunger. Seeing her like this, Emochishin felt a twinge of guilt. He picked up his chopsticks again, finishing the rest of his boxed meal. After undergoing nearly 40 hours on the train, they finally arrived in Guangguan on the noontime of the third day. Guangguan is a coastal city near Hong Kong and our country. Compared to the often bustling mainland, Guangguan had many skyscrapers, fashionable young people, and some even using pagers. At the same time, the temperature in Guangguan was much higher than in Beijing. The current temperature in Beijing was 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, needing a cotton-padded jacket and a coat. But on the streets of Guangguan, people were in short sleeves and jeans, wearing sunglasses, as if it were still summer. At this time, the jeans trend had just come over from abroad, so every young person on the street was wearing jeans. And Yang knew that the temperature in Guangguan was much higher than in Beijing, so when she got off the train she was particularly wearing just a thin knit sweater. But unexpectedly it still felt scorching. Yang. Emochishin looked at Yang. Shall we look for a clothing store first? Yang nodded, sure. The two entered a clothing store they found, and Yang didn't bother to choose. She randomly grabbed a set of clothes and headed to the changing room. However, when she came out of the changing room, Emochishin was dazzled. At this moment, Emochishin suddenly remembered a phrase. When a person is good-looking, they'll look good in anything, even a rag. A simple light pink top and a pair of black baggy pants brought out a unique charm on her. The shopkeeper immediately went to meet her. "Miss, you look absolutely stunning in this outfit." Usually, shopkeepers say things that are half-truths, but today, she had not uttered a single false word. Throughout her time selling clothes, she had never seen such a beautiful girl. And Yang smiled slightly. "Thank you, how much is this set?" 28 yuan. And Yang took out the money and handed it to the shopkeeper. There were many factories in Guangguan. Among them plenty produced non-woven fabrics. However, due to the large area of Guangguan, finding manufacturers that produced non-woven fabrics was a bit challenging. Although Yang had memories from her previous life, those memories were of her future experiences. And it was the 1980s now after all. Emochishin took out 2 pieces of paper. Yang, these 2 factories can produce non-woven fabric. Which one do you want to visit first? And Yang took the paper. Let's go to the nearest one first then. Sure. Emochishin nodded. Chapter 311. Yang's Heroic Act, Confession from the Mysterious Boss _2. The two arrived at the factory, where they were greeted by a very enthusiastic middle-aged uncle. "The minimum order from our factory is 300 yuan. Then there's the separate cost of the train transport." At this time, parcels could be sent via post, but it was slow, typically taking about a month. Therefore, anyone with urgent items usually relied on the train or freight trucks for transportation. The price wasn't expensive. Yang took a facial mask cut from a sheet of white paper out of her bag and asked, "Can you make a non-woven fabric in this shape?" The middle-aged uncle took the paper curiously. "What is this thing? Comrade, what is this used for?" Yang smiled lightly. "It's for your face." "For your face?" The middle-aged uncle looked enlightened. "Oh, I see. These are the eyes, this is the nose, and this is the mouth, right?" "Yes." Yang nodded slightly. The middle-aged uncle was a very curious person. He put the paper on his face. "Comrade, what effect does this have when it's placed on the face?" Just as Yang was about to answer, a person entered the room, and upon seeing the middle-aged uncle looking that way, let out a frightful yell. "Ah! A ghost!" Guangguan people were rather superstitious. As soon as the middle-aged uncle heard the word ghost, his reaction was immediate. "Ah? Where's the ghost?" Upon hearing his reaction, the person breathed a sigh of relief. "Li Ku, it's you. What are you doing with this on your face? You scared me." The middle-aged uncle turned to look at Yang. "Comrade, you haven't told me yet, what's the use of this on the face?" Not only was the middle-aged uncle curious, Emochishin was also curious. Yang didn't hide anything. She laughed and explained, "I plan to use it to make a skincare product, which after being manufactured, could be adhered to the face for skin maintenance. The concept of a facial mask only reached China in the 1990s, so it was normal for people to not know about it. The middle-aged uncle laughed. Interesting, this is the first time I've seen such a skincare product. Oh, Xiaochen, you came just in time. You work in the technical department. Can you check if our non-woven fabric can be made in this shape? Xiaochen took the paper was in the shape of the mask, and frowned slightly. We may not be able to make this. The middle-aged uncle looked regretfully at Yang. Comrade, why don't you check another factory? Yang nodded. I've troubled you. Watching Yang and Mo Qishan disappear through the door, the middle-aged uncle turned to Xiaochen. With your technical department skills, you all can't make something as simple as this shape. Xiaochen replied, it's not that we can't make it, it's just slightly more complex in terms of the process. We need to recast to make a new model. If there's a big order, it's okay, but for small orders, we can hardly make any money because we can only break even. Factories prioritize profits. No one would generate power out of love for no reason. Yang only ordered a few hundreds worth, which was not even enough for the recasting cost. The middle-aged uncle nodded. As Yang and Mo Qishan walked out the door, they brushed past a man with a look of urgency on his face. He seemed a little familiar, but by the time Yang looked back, the man had already disappeared around the corner. The two visited 3 factories in one afternoon, and all 3 factories said they couldn't do it. Yang's brow furrowed slightly. This result was too different from what she had imagined. Mo Qishan comforted her. Yang, don't worry. Guangguan has many factories, and it's the birthplace of skincare products. We are sure to find a factory that can make facial masks. Yang nodded. It's getting late. Shall we go eat something? Sure, Mo Qishan said. I know there's a street with lots of food nearby. Shall we eat there? Okay. The food street was located in the center of Guangguan. Plastic cloth covered the large sheds overhead, illuminated by hanging lights. Many street food stalls had long lines. Noodles, 50 cents a bowl. Dumplings, 30 cents for a large bowl. Seafood fried noodles, teppanyaki squid. Pot stickers. The cries of the vendors and the alluring scent of food filled their ears and noses. Yang looked at this dish, then at that one, unsure of what to eat. Mo Qishan suggested. Guangguan is a coastal city, and seafood is their specialty product. Why don't we eat seafood? Chapter 312. Righteous Yang, Mystery Boss Confession _3. In fact, Mo Qishan wanted to take Yang to a fancy restaurant, but he was afraid that she would feel distance because of it. He wanted to get closer to Yang. As it turned out, compared to fancy restaurants, Yang preferred this place. Great, I want teppanyaki squid. Teppanyaki squid is a common street snack in later times. Yang didn't expect that it was already available here in Guangguan during the 1980s. The two of them sat at a seafood stall, and besides teppanyaki squid, they ordered other seafood dishes. It was essential to accompany seafood with beer. At this time, Yinjing beer was the most popular. Actually, beer was already available as early as 1914. By the 1980s, it was everywhere, not just in thriving cities like Guangguan, but also in rural areas. Yang turned to look at Mo Qishan. Brother Mo, do you want some beer? Mo Qishan raised his eyebrows in surprise. You drink? He had assumed that a beautiful girl like Yang would abstain from alcohol. Yang smiled. What, do I look like someone who doesn't drink? Not only did she drink, but she could also hold her liquor very well. No one achieves success easily. In her previous life, Yang, as NIS director, honed her drinking skills through banquets and social events, once setting a record of downing 2 pounds of liquor at once. However, that was in her past life. In this life, for her health, Yang hadn't touched alcohol since she was reborn. Mo Qishan spoke with a smile. Shall we get 2 bottles then? Soon, the boss brought over 2 bottles of beer. Just as Mo Qishan was about to open the beer, he realized he didn't see any opener. Boss, could I get a bottle opener please? Before he could finish speaking, a hissing sound of open beer came from across him, followed by Yang spitting out the beer cap from her mouth. In that instant, Mo Chishan saw his future standing in the household. Good heavens! That was a bit too bold. This slightly audacious action, when done by In Yang, had an inexplicable charm about it. From biting the bottle cap to spitting it out, everything was done swiftly and fluidly. Mo Chishan had seen countless refined ladies from prestigious families, but he had never seen a girl as casual as In Yang. She was clear-headed and genuine in her way of living. It seemed like nothing could hold her down. She was like a mysterious and tranquil orchid blooming in a valley. Brother Mo here. In Yang handed Mo Chishan the beer she had just opened. At this moment, the boss brought the bottle opener, and upon seeing the scene he joked, "This young girl is really something." In Yang modestly responded, "It's nothing much." Both of them were drinking beer and eating seafood, and in a while, they had almost finished their meal. In Yang had her arms crossed, and was leaning against the back of the chair. She didn't feel like moving at all. It had been such a tiring day. Just then, she felt something lightly poke into the middle of her hand. In Yang looked back, and saw what seemed like a family of 3 sitting at the next table. The man was big and tall, the woman was skinny and dark, and both of them dressed humbly. The 3 of them had only one dish and a soup on their table, and the man and woman were speaking in a dialect others couldn't understand. The little girl was wearing a semi-worn blue ant-colored coat, and a pair of ragged pants. Even though she had a dirty little face, her features were beautiful, with a pair of big teary eyes that looked familiar. The little girl was sitting to In Yang's right, so it must have been her who teased In Yang earlier. In Yang nonchalantly steadied her vision again, and pulled out the paper from her hand. Upon seeing it, she realized it was a small note. The note barely had anything written on it. All it had were 3 Arabic numbers, 995. In Yang furrowed her brows slightly. Given the way 995 sounds, it might signify "help me." Was the little girl asking for help? At this moment, In Yang suddenly recalled that the little girl was none other than Mimi, the one she had accidentally bumped into on the train earlier. Even though her clothing differed, In Yang hadn't forgotten her unique pair of eyes. Could Mimi have encountered human traffickers? Actually, human trafficking wasn't uncommon in the 1980s. The traffickers would lure women, kidnap children, sell them off, or even mutilate them to force them into begging. With no surveillance at that time and people being less security conscious, the victims targeted by the traffickers were easy to nab. Chapter 313. Righteous Yang, Mystery Boss Confession _4. She could not help but recall her own past lives' experiences. If she were caught by human traffickers again, what awaited her would be similar to the torment of marrying a eunuch in her previous life. Or even worse. This thought made In Yang's heart tighten brutally. Brother Mo. In Yang looked up at Mo Chishan. Mo Chishan looked up puzzlingly. Luckily, In Yang always carried a pen with her. She wrote a sentence on a slip of paper and handed it to Mo Chishan. Mo Chishan read the note, his gaze flickering. He held In Yang's hand to signal her not to act rashly. Human traffickers usually worked in groups and had an organized hierarchy. They couldn't simply be 1 or 2 people acting alone. There might even be their accomplices nearby. If they acted rashly, it could backfire. At this moment, the couple sitting behind them had finished paying their bill, and were about to leave with the little girl. In Yang suddenly stood up, took the little girl's hand, and exclaimed in surprise, "Mimi! Isn't this Mimi?" The sequence of events happened too fast, leaving the little girl bewildered. In Yang continued, "This silly girl am your aunt. Don't you recognize your aunt and your uncle? Who are these 2? Are they the nannies hired by your mother and father?" The tall and skinny woman yanked the girl back and retorted angrily, "Who are you? Have you mistaken us for someone else? Who's this Mimi you're talking about? This is my daughter Yai. When did my niece become your daughter?" In Yang's face changed. She scooped up the little girl and retorted, "Are you a human trafficker?" The little girl clung tightly to In Yang's neck, fearing she would be snatched away by the tall and lean woman any moment. The commotion attracted some attention. The diners put down their chopsticks and crowded around. The skinny woman shrieked hysterically, "This is my daughter Yaya. From a young age, she has been mute and even has some IQ issues. You claim to be her aunt, so let her call you aunt and we'll see. Thief playing a cop. I say you're the real human trafficker. Somebody help. She's trying to kidnap my daughter. Every human trafficker retains a poker face and excels in bluffing. As long as they can convince the crowd, things will work out for them. After all, the child isn't able to speak, and the person abducting her from them is Ni Yang. The one holding disparities will forever hold the advantage. That child really can't speak. Tisk, tsk, such a beautiful girl, turns out to be a human trafficker. That's terrible. She even dares to kidnap children in broad daylight. Seeing the crowd being swayed, a burly man rolled up his sleeves. Brandishing a kitchen knife, he rushed forward aggressively. Damn human traffickers, how dare you try to kidnap my daughter? Watch as I chop you into pieces. Mo Chishan shielded Ni Yang. With one hand he grabbed the burly man's arm. Simultaneously, he kicked the burly man's knee. The severe pain forced the man to kneel on the ground. This is outrageous. How dare these human traffickers assault people in public? Is there no law and order left? Onlookers were extremely angry. Mo Chishan held the burly man's arm and looked at the crowd. These two are the real human traffickers. If you don't believe me, we can call the police. My wife and I will stay here until they arrive. I trust the police will give us justice. Real human traffickers would never suggest calling the police. A considerate bystander promptly rushed to report the incident. I'm going to the police station now. Keep an eye on these two traffickers. Young man, you can take my bike. Seeing the situation turn against them, the tall and thin woman tried to sneak away. However, as she turned to leave, a hand detained her. A gentle voice came from above her. Feeling guilty? Ni Yang was beautiful, especially her delicate peach blossom eyes. On any normal day, the tall thin woman would surely be captivated by Ni Yang's allure. Such a catch was not easy to come by. But today, all she felt was endless fear. The police arrived promptly, and as victims and suspects, the group was taken to the police station. The little girl clung to Ni Yang's neck unwillingly to let go. After a doctor's diagnosis, it was found that the human traffickers had administered a large amount of forbidden drugs to the girl, causing her to lose her speech. Chapter 314. Righteous Yang Yang, Mystery Boss Confession _5. Besides that, the little girl had many fresh bruises on her body. The female doctor who was in charge of examining the little girl couldn't help but tear up. This is so horrible. These human traffickers are so dreadful. Little girl, does it hurt? The little girl bravely shook her head. Upon interrogation, the two human traffickers quickly confessed to their crimes. The little girl's parents also rushed over upon hearing the news. Mimi, are you all right? The couple bumbled into the room, utterly disheveled. Only those who have almost lost their child could truly understand the pain they felt. The little girl shook her head, her eyes brimming with sudden tears. Why did you take so long to come? Weren't you supposed to pick me up immediately? She had been too frightened earlier, and had been forcing herself not to cry. Seeing her parents now was the only time she felt safe enough to let go of her control. The young woman took the little girl into her arms. I'm sorry, Mimi, Mommy and Daddy are so sorry. The police officer at the scene said. As parents, you have to be more careful next time, especially in crowded places like railway stations. You should always keep your child within arm's reach. Now you must sincerely thank these two people. If it wasn't for their courageous actions, you probably wouldn't be able to see your child now. Thank you both. The couple exchanged a glance and immediately knelt down in front of Ni Yang and Mo Chishan with their child. Thank you. Ni Yang and Mo Chishan quickly helped the couple up. You don't need to do this. It was Mimi who was quick on her feet and clever enough to give us a note for help. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have realized something was wrong. Just then, the young man suddenly said, Aren't you the young man we met on the train? Ni Yang nodded. Yes, it's me. Thank you so much for your help. The young man continued. My name is Han Shulin. This is my wife Lin Xiaoxue, and this is our daughter Han Mimi. The five of them left the police station, chatting among themselves. Lin Xiaoxue said, Young man, judging from your accents, I'm guessing you're not from Guangguan, right? Ni Yang nodded. We came from Beijing. Lin Xiaoxue continued. You came all the way from Beijing. Are you planning to stay and develop here, or are you just visiting? And I Yang said, we came here for some business. Lin Xiaoxue, being a warm-hearted person, and considering that An Yang and Mo Qishan had saved her daughter's life, immediately said, business. Have you successfully handled your affairs? If you don't mind, you can tell us about it. Maybe we can help a little. Han Shulin echoed. That's right. You're newcomers to Guangguan, and we've been living here for decades. We know many people and can certainly handle matters more conveniently than you. No matter what it is, locals can always manage it more conveniently than outsiders. And I Yang, therefore, didn't hide anything and briefly explained the situation to the couple. After listening to it, Han Shulin smiled and said, rest assured this little matter, I've got it covered. And I Yang looked at Han Shulin in surprise. Lin Xiaoxue explained, my husband is the manager of the non-woven fabric factory on Liufu Road. As a non-woven fabric factory manager, this matter would indeed be trivial for him. This was indeed a case of good actions are rewarded. So the next day, An Yang and Mo Qishan met again with the middle-aged man surnamed Li. This time when they met, the middle-aged man was even more enthusiastic than before. Come in and have a seat. If you had told me earlier that you knew Manager Han, none of this would have happened. An Yang smiled lightly and sat down with Mo Qishan. An Yang knew very well that the reason no factory was willing to take on the job before was because the quantity of face masks she ordered was small. The cost of the non-woven fabric was low, and only a small amount was needed for each face mask. A few hundred yuan would be enough to make several thousand masks. With a small quantity, the profit was small. The profit was small, but the time spent on the initial setup was significant, which was why no factory was willing to accept the order. But An Yang was confident that neither the factory nor Han Shulin would regret taking this order. Because once the face mask gained popularity, the sales would not be as simple as just a few thousand. After a successful contract signing, An Yang and Mo Qishan bought tickets for the 7 p.m. train that evening. Chapter 315. Righteous Yang, Mystery Boss Confession _6. With half a day left, An Yang wanted to stroll around the streets and pick up some local specialties to take back home. Water chestnut cake and pineapple cake were specialties of Guangguan. There were also many fruits not available in Beijing, such as durian, dragon fruit and wax apples. An Yang bought a bit of each, as well as a giant durian. Durian was known to have a really strong smell, but the taste was genuinely good. Seeing An Yang buying so much, Mo Qishan also bought a lot of things. That night, Han Shulin and Lin Xiaoxue, holding their daughter Mimi, came to the train station to see them off. An Yang and Mo Qishan waved goodbye to the family of three. Brother Han, sister-in-law Han, you must come to Beijing to play when you get the chance. Sure. We will certainly disturb you when we do. Goodbye, Sister Yang. Goodbye, Mimi. By the time they returned to Beijing, it was a little after 8 at night. The temperature in Beijing was more than 20 degrees lower than Guangguan. As soon as they got off the train, An Yang wrapped herself tightly in her down jacket. Though they were walking side by side on the street, not talking, the atmosphere was not awkward at all. The night always seemed to make people more impulsive. Mo Qishan found his heart fluttering like a scared deer as he looked at An Yang's profile. They seemed to have grown closer during this Guangguan trip, but also not at all. He felt he couldn't wait any longer. If he continued to wait, what if someone else beat him to it? Engrossed in his thoughts, Mo Qishan didn't notice the stone on the road and stumbled, almost falling over. Be careful, Brother Mo. An Yang quickly reached out to steady him. Thank you, Yang. The dim light of night hid Mo Qishan's blush. They slowly walked and quickly arrived at the noodle restaurant. An Yang opened the door and wheeled her bicycle out. Yang. Mo Qishan softly called out, his voice resonating clearly in the quiet night. An Yang looked up, her bright eyes sparkling in the dark. Yang, Mo Qishan's palms started to sweat. The usually articulate Mo Qishan suddenly found himself at a loss for words. What is it? An Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Mo Qishan found that he wasn't just at a loss for words, he was also stuttering. Brother Mo, don't be nervous. I won't bite. What are you afraid of? And Young chuckled, her dimples showing, as she slowly approached Chishin. Chishin stepped backward, tension mounting, until he was pressed against a sturdy wall. This situation was a common scene in the arrogant CEO's TV dramas. And Young didn't expect it to happen to her that day. And it was her who had cornered Chishin. Wasn't Chishin's reaction too cute? Looking at his reaction, he wasn't like a 28-year-old man at all, but rather like an 18-year-old naive boy. Did she just get herself a treasure? Yang. Chishin suddenly found it hard to meet Yang's gaze. He was so nervous. What should he do? What if he couldn't breathe? At this moment, Chishin's usual calm, self-composed demeanor seemed to have completely vanished. Young looked at him with a smile. Brother Mo, if you have something to say, just say it. Hesitating is not a man's style. Right. He was a man. Chishin gritted his teeth, closed his eyes and stood his ground. It was time to be brave and take a leap. Yang, he said, his voice lowering. Like you. At that moment, even Young could hear her own heartbeat. She couldn't resist teasing him. Brother Mo, I didn't hear what you said. Chishin was so nervous he didn't dare say it a second time. Young frowned slightly. Brother Mo, did you just say you hate me? No. Chishin turned white with anxiety. Yang, you heard wrong. How could I hate you? Then what did you say just now? He had already said it once, so why couldn't he say it again? Worst comes to worst, he could take another hit. Chishin took a deep breath and loudly said, Yang, I like you. I want you to be my girlfriend. After saying this, Chishin watched Young intently. He had never been so nervous in his life. His heart felt like it was about to jump out of his chest. If cold stones could be warmed, what about human hearts? Moreover, Yang's heart wasn't made of stone. She was very sure that she also liked Chishin. Perhaps she had fallen for him at first sight when they met by the river. Perhaps she was moved by Chishin's continuous companionship over time. Plus, Chishin was so handsome. If they did become a couple, she definitely wouldn't lose out. Brother Mo, Young looked up at Chishin. I think, I kind of like you too. For a moment, Chishin thought he was hallucinating, but then he picked Young up and began turning in circles joyously. If he had wings, he felt he would fly all the way up to the clouds. Sweetheart. I really like you. Young responded flatly. Put me down, I just said I kind of like you. How did I become your sweetheart all of a sudden? This man was really quite shameless. Chishin held Young tightly and wouldn't let go. The great literature master from Y Country, Shakespeare, once said, dating without the intention of marriage is fooling around. So if you're not my sweetheart, whose sweetheart could you be? Are you trying to fool around with me? Young patted his face with her hand. Could you get a hold of yourself, please? I just said I like you, not that I want to be in a relationship with you. Right now, you're still being audited. Whether you could pass depends on your performance. Chishin shamelessly remarked, Sweetheart, your hand smells so good. Young. She had to stop, he was simply not getting it. Chishin tightened his hold, then asked, Sweetheart, so what do I need to do to pass? Depends on your performance. Chishin immediately responded, Sweetheart, don't worry, I'll surely perform very well. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. If you say go east, I'll never go west. I'll go wherever you point. Nothing will stop me, not even climbing a mountain of knives or plunging into a sea of flames. Then put me down first. Chishin hesitated a bit, but then finally let go. Young teasingly raised her eyebrows. Brother Mo, this isn't your first time dating, is it? Chishin nodded. It's the first and also the last. Sweetheart, from now on, all my first times will be yours. The first time he fell in love at first sight. The first time he liked someone. The first time he was so desperate to marry someone and cherish her as his treasure for the rest of his life. Before meeting Young, Chishin didn't even know what it meant to like someone. Chapter 316. I always listen to my wife, personally unmasking you _1 Yin stared at him. Don't call me wifey. Chishin scratched his head. Then what should I call you? Lady, darling, beloved, wife. These don't seem to sound as nice as wifey, right? And Ayin interrupted his imagination. Call me whatever you used to. Okay, wifey. Emochishin quickly nodded. I will listen to wifey. And Ayin. Emochishin then said, Wifey, when can I officially become your other half? And Ayin replied indifferently, Once you've changed how you address me, I'll consider it. Hearing this, Emochishin didn't dare to tease her anymore. Yang, can I officially become your other half now? And Ayin replied with a smile, I can consider it now. Emochishin. Women's mouths can't trust a word they say. Emochishin sneakily reached for Ayan's hand. Yang, can I hold your hand? And Ayin squeezed his hand. Aren't you holding it now? Emochishin curled his lips in satisfaction. A smile of pure contentment on his face. So happy. So content. With their hands locked together, they walked leisurely on the desolate streets, the frosty moonlight casting a silvery glow on them. Both of them, without any romantic experience, strolled hand in hand from one end of the street to the other. They made a trip up and down the normally 1-hour-long street, as though it only took moments. Time seems to fly when one is with the person they love. Once they reached the noodle restaurant again, and Ayin stopped. Brother Emo, it's late. You should head home now. Emochishin reluctantly halted. He still hadn't had enough of holding his wifey's hand. He wished he could stay glued to his wifey all the time. And Ayin smiled. Please hurry back. Remember what you promised me earlier. Reminded of his earlier promise, Emochishin reluctantly let go of Ayan's hand. Yang, should I walk you home? And Ayin said, It's nearly 11 now. If you walk me home, you'll be really late. Besides, I rode here myself. Go on home, it'll be fine. And Ayin is not a person of pretensions. In the middle of the night, she didn't want to trouble Emochishin. Emochishin pushed the bike. Let me take you home. I don't have anything planned for tomorrow morning, and it's not safe for a girl to be out alone at this hour. Seeing Emochishin insist, and Ayin gave in. She leaned in and sat on the back seat. Brother Emo, let's go. Emochishin held the bike, not moving. And Ayin asked doubtfully, Brother Emo, aren't we going? Emochishin responded, Yang, come sit in front. The Phoenix brand bike from the 80s has a large rack in the front that can accommodate a person. But because sitting at the front requires a somewhat intimate position, typically only couples adopt this seating. Before they were in a relationship, Emochishin was too shy to let Ayin sit in front, but things were different now. Ayin was also sitting on a bike rack for the first time. She was surrounded by a masculine aura, with warm breath whispering around her neck. This felt wonderful, leading to a faint blush creeping up her ears. Although the girl in front is already his wifey, Emochishin was still nervous. Thankfully, it was winter, and they were both bundled up. Otherwise, Ayin would definitely have noticed his discomfort. Emochishin tightly gripped the bike's handle, his sturdy arms enveloping Ayin. His steady heartbeat echoed from behind, providing a sense of absolute security. Ayan's hair fluttered onto Emochishin's face in the breeze. It was soft and silky like prime satin. A faint, fragrant scent wrapped around his nose. The hazy night enveloped them as Emochishin leaned forward slightly, all but surrounding her. To enjoy their time together more, Emochishin deliberately slowed down. However, they soon arrived at Jinghua village. Emochishin was slightly annoyed. Why did the time pass so quickly tonight? Ayin jumped from the bike. Brother Emo, you should go home now. I'll help you push the bike into the courtyard. Ayin laughed. Take the bike and ride home. From the city to Jinghua village is more than 10 kilometers. She can't possibly let Emochishin walk home. Emochishin responded. If I ride home, how will you get to the city tomorrow morning? I can take the tram. Chapter 317. I always listen to my wife. Personally unmasking you _2. Emochishin's thoughts took a turn. I'll pick you up tomorrow at my place. Ayin nodded and picked up her gift from the car. That works, take care on the road, Brother Emo. All right, Emochishin replied. He watched Ayin walk into the yard and close the door. Only then did he turn the car around and drive back. At this moment, He could no longer hide the elation in his heart. He quickly stepped on the pedal, his feet moving like they were under motor power, almost making the car fly. He felt so happy, so excited. At that moment, Emo-chan felt an insurmountable energy. Even if there were mountains ahead, he could move them. Ah! So happy. Emo-chan even let go of the handlebars, opened his arms wide, and made a flying motion. He was as excited as a child. It was a good thing that he was on an empty street. Otherwise, with such a noise he would have been scolded by others. Only with the cover of late night, Emo-chan dared to act so wildly. Emo-chan shouted several times, unable to satisfy his excitement. He even had body movements. He was like a crazy drunkard with no formality to speak of. Not far away, a luxury car was parked. There were 2 people seated in the front row. These 2 were none other than Morris and Marcus. Morris looked at his watch, puzzled, and asked, "Marcus, did you get the time wrong? Is Mr. Mogg really coming back today?" Marcus replied, "Mr. Mogg called yesterday afternoon, and told me he'd be back tonight. How could I hear it wrong?" Just then Morris, who was in the driver's seat, suddenly sat upright, pointed at something to Marcus, and said with some horror, "Is that Mr. Mogg over there?" Marcus looked forward nonplussed. What a joke! You must be kidding. That man raving on the street in the middle of the night must have just come from a mental hospital. There Mr. Mogg always maintained a cool demeanor. Even when dealing with contracts with numerous digits, he never showed any change in expression. How could he possibly behave like this? Morris scratched his head. What you said makes some sense. Although from a distance the man looked like Mr. Mogg, his behavior was more like a madman. Mr. Mogg is usually gentle and noble. How could he go crazy like this? However, as the so-called madman got closer and closer, Morris' expression became more and more horrifying. Morris grabbed Marcus' sleeve again. That's Mr. Mogg. What could have happened to Mr. Mogg on his trip to make him behave like this? Now even Marcus was dumbfounded. Could he take back what he just said? Realizing that this madman was indeed Emo-chan, they both got out of the car. At the same time, Emo-chan noticed a familiar license plate. He instantly put away his silly smile, and maintained a cold and restrained demeanor again, going back to his original appearance. Marcus, stop pretending we saw everything. Mr. Mogg greeted Morris and Marcus respectfully. Emo-chan vomited 3 words, a mysterious shadow covering him in the moonlight. Back to the manor. Yes. Marcus immediately took his bike. Emo-chan leaned back into the car, Marcus pedaling after the luxury car. As he pedaled, Marcus noticed that something was off. Under the moonlight, Marcus realized this wasn't his boss car at all. On this side, An-I-Yang had just opened the door to the yard when the lights inside came on. The dim light lit up the small path in the yard. An-I-Yang felt warmth in her heart as she saw An-I-Tsuehua, who had put on a coat, come out from inside. Yang. Mom. Yang, come inside quickly. An-I-Tsuehua took the suitcase from An-I-Yang's hands. Are you hungry? Mom kept some food for you. Mom. How did you know that I would come back tonight? There was no phone at home. And to take a phone call, they had to go to the village. To avoid the hassle for An-I-Tsuehua, An-I-Yang didn't call home at all. An-I-Tsuehua replied, when you left, you said you would come back in about a week, so I thought you should be back by now. When a child goes on a long journey, a mother worries. Ever since the day An-I-Yang left, An-I-Tsuehua had been counting the days at home, hoping for her return. Every time they ate, she set aside a portion specially for An-I-Yang, so that she wouldn't be hungry when she came back. Chapter 318. I always listen to my wife, personally unmasking you _3. Being together every day, An-I-Yang and her mother Tsuehua didn't think much about it. However, on the day An-I-Yang suddenly left, An-I-Tsuehua felt out of sorts everywhere. Now that she An An-I-Yang return safely, a big load was finally off Quihua's shoulders. As the mother and daughter entered the living room, they heard little An-I-Yun in the inner room call out sweetly, "Sis." A 9-month-old baby couldn't talk much yet. The only words she could say were mama and sis. An-I-Yang was startled and asked in surprise, "Yun isn't asleep yet?" An-I-Tsuehua replied with a smile. She was still sleeping when I got up. She probably just woke up. Oh, go check on Yun. And Yang swiftly made her way into the room. And Tsuehua went into the kitchen to serve Yang dinner. In the room, little Yun, wearing her autumn clothes, had already crawled over the blanket. Seeing Yang come in, she laughed happily. Sis. Little Yun, did you miss sis? Yang picked up little Yun. Little Yun couldn't talk yet. She just shouted excitedly, sis. Sis. Yang gave little Yun's small face a big kiss. The temperature was low at night, and Yang was afraid that little Yun would get cold, so she quickly put her back under the blanket. Yun can't crawl outside the blanket, otherwise sis will spank. Little Yun held Yang's hand, babbling away, who knows what she was saying. Yang looked at little Yun's side profile, the corner of her mouth revealing a slight smile. In her previous life, she came to the realization too late, and let this little sister fall into the jaws of a wolf. This time, she'll protect her no matter what. And the 3 other sisters who got thrown away, she wondered if they were still amongst the living. For some time, Yang was lost in thought. At that moment, Tsuehua came in with a bowl saying, Yang, stop playing with Yun and eat. Yang nodded, standing up to take the bowl from Quihua's hands. The bowl was only half filled with rice, but the meat and vegetables were piled high. There were braised pork, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, roasted chicken leg, and stir-fried mushrooms. Tsuehua said, Yang, Uncle Tinia brought this rooster this morning while he was working. I said I didn't want it, but he insisted on leaving it. Quickly taste the chicken your mom roasted and see if it's good. I roasted it the way you usually do. Yang hurriedly picked up the chicken leg and tasted it. The meat was firm, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Oil flowed in her mouth with every bite. Delicious. Mom, the chicken you roasted is way better than the one I can do. Tsuehua laughed. You know how to make your mom happy. How can the chicken I roasted be better than yours? Mom, it's really very good. Tsuehua said. If it's good, eat more. There's still some in the pot. I'll get more for you when you're done. Yang was eating and said with food in her mouth, I'll be full after this bowl. I'll eat the rest tomorrow morning. Tsuehua said. You're full already? Look how thin you are. You could be blown away by the wind. You need to eat more. People in the 80s generally idolized being fat. For one, being fat displayed a wealthy household, and 2, the older generation saw fat as a representation of good fortune. There's a compliment for people that goes like this. Look at that girl, she's so fortunate. The deeper the fortune, the fatter one is. Fat girls were very popular. By the time dinner was done, it was already past midnight. After a quick hot shower, Yang went straight to bed. She slept well throughout the night. The next morning, after Yang got ready and opened the courtyard door, she saw Chishin waiting for her on his bike. Brother Mo, why are you here so early? I just got here too. Chishin touched his nose. Shall we go now? In fact, Chishin was so excited the night before that he couldn't sleep. As soon as dawn broke, he came here. He just didn't knock on the door. Yang said, You must not have eaten breakfast this early, right? I made pan-fried dumplings this morning. I'll get you some. After saying this, Yang turned around to head to the kitchen. Soon she came back with a food box in hand. The pan-fried dumplings were filled with sour radish and pork. It was appetizing and refreshing, with the taste of pork bursting in every bite. They were delicious. Chishin ate more than 10 dumplings in one go. Yang, your dumplings are so good. I've never had such good dumplings. Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. My mom made these. Chishin. Then our mom is really skilled. Chapter 319. I always listen to my wife, personally unmasking you _4. Yang stuffed the last dumpling into his mouth. Enough chit-chat. After finishing the dumplings, Yang returned the lunchbox, got into the car, and went to the city with Chishin. Chishin, with one hand on the steering wheel and the other secretly slipped around Yang's waist, rested his chin on her shoulder, and gently sniffed the fragrance of her hair. The usually noisy bird chirps now seemed pleasant to his ears. Yang did not reject such affection and laughed. Brother Mo, can you ride the car properly? Can you do it with one hand? Men hate being questioned if they could or not. Mo Chishan immediately let go of his other hand. Even if I don't hold it with both hands, I can still control the direction well. Yang, look how awesome am I? Yang nodded in agreement. Awesome, you are way too awesome. Mo Chishan looked at Yang's side profile, as white as jade, and had a sudden urge to kiss her. But while he had the intent, he lacked the courage. Mo Chishan suppressed the urge in his heart. The car was neither too fast nor too slow, and soon arrived on the bustling street. A jeep raced past them. The man driving the jeep had an icy expression on his face. Mo Baichuan pursed his lips, his eyes filled with stormy rage. The next corner. Screech. The sharp sound of a sudden brake rang out, and Mo Baichuan pounded the steering wheel fiercely with his fists. A few seconds later, his face began to soften gradually. No, he couldn't. If he got angry, wouldn't he fall into Yang's trap? He must stay calm and expose the mask on Yang's face himself. Several minutes later, Mo Baichuan restarted the engine and drove away. When Yang and Mo Baichuan arrived at the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop, the other 6 people had already gathered. It had been a few days and everyone was missing Yang dearly. Of course, Yang didn't come empty-handed. Yang distributed a bit of water chestnut cake and pineapple cake she brought back from Guangguan to everyone. At this time, pastries were a desirable thing. Ordinary families would only buy some during the new year. Yang, you're too kind. You thought of bringing gifts for us all the way back from Guangguan. Yang, was Guangguan fun? How different is it from here? Yang explained with a smile. Actually, there isn't much difference, just that the temperature is a bit higher than here. They are already wearing short sleeves in Guangguan. People of this era who generally lacked education and were not familiar with latitude and temperature difference found Yang's words astonishing. Really? Really? Yang nodded and explained the temperature difference to them. She spoke confidently, her conversation peppered with professional terms and concepts, and even some professional explanations were not as accurate as hers. Watching her on the side, Mo Kishan's gaze gradually grew fascinated. How incredibly competent is his wife. It didn't take long for 6 o'clock to come around, and the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop opened for business right on time. Mo Chishan helped Yang around the shop. The way the two interacted was the same as usual, but also a bit different. Anyone with a discerning eye could sense the subtle changes between the two. The 6 people in the shop obviously had an inkling. During lunch break, Yang sat at the dining table, sipped her milk tea, and asked, Brother Mo, can you contact your good friend Wu Daming now? Yes, Mo Chishan nodded. Yang, do you need something from him? Isn't he dealing with imported machinery? I want to ask him if he can get sterile equipment. Yang wanted to expand her skincare products, and for that, she needed to set up a sterile production room for machine integration, where each skincare product would be produced. The current small-scale operation is definitely not enough. Mo Chishan responded. Okay, I'll ask him for you later. Thank you, Brother Mo. Why are you being formal with me? By the way, I have to take a long trip tomorrow, and it might take a while before I can return. If there is sterile equipment available, I'll have Wu Daming deliver it directly. Yang nodded. Actually, I'm not in a hurry. It will take a while for the house to be built. Mo Chishan suddenly voiced his grievances. Yang, don't you want to ask where I'm going and when I'll be back? Yang patted him on the head like patting a big dog. So, where are you going? When will you be back? Chapter 320. I always listen to my wife. Personally unmasking you _5. I need to go to F country. The specific return time is not yet fixed, but I promise to return as soon as possible, so as not to worry you. Initially, Mo Chishan planned to visit F country before going to Guangguan, but he cancelled the trip to accompany Yang to Guangguan. Unexpectedly, after returning, he still had to take a trip to F country. With such an outstanding wife, he couldn't afford to remain stationary. He had to strive for a more brilliant future for his wife, ensuring that she wouldn't be undermined anywhere she went. Since he was departing for F country tomorrow, Mo Chishan spent the whole day with Yang. It was not until past 6 in the evening, at Ni Yang's insistence, that he reluctantly left the noodle restaurant. After the noodle restaurant closed, Ni Yang took a trip to the vegetable market. "Miss, would you like to buy some flowers?" Ni Yang turned her gaze to meet a pair of lively eyes. It was a girl of about 10 years old with beautiful eyes. Regrettably, there was a deep scar on her left face that disrupted her overall beauty. She wore a patchy flowery cotton jacket of blue and red. Her hair was all over the place, and her small face was dirty. In her hand, she held a large bunch of red camellia flowers. "Big sister, could you buy a flower, please?" The girl timidly tugged at Ni Yang's coat, her eyes pleading. Before Ni Yang could react, the owner of the braised pork shop came out looking stern and chased the girl away. "Scram! Off you go!" The girl, seeing the shopkeeper, immediately took off running. The owner of the braised pork shop was well acquainted with Ni Yang and turned to her. Yang, don't be fooled by this little rascal. This child is a well-known con artist around here, pretending to be pitiful and deceiving people. Her parents are deadbeats, and she's just like them. Not a decent one among them. Don't let her outward appearance deceive you. Her family is actually quite well off. They eat well, drink well, and still scam people everywhere. Hearing this, some people nearby chimed in. Yes, I've been duped by her as well. I was also conned by her. This kind of scam, exploiting children, is quite common in later generations. Ni Yang listened without much thought. After buying some vegetables, she started pushing her cart away. At this moment, someone tugged at her coat again. When Ni Yang looked back, it was the same girl. "Big sister, could you please buy a flower?" The girl lifted up the flowers, looking at Ni Yang with a face full of longing. Ni Yang leaned over slightly. "Where are your parents, little girl?" Possibly aware of what people in the market had said to Ni Yang, the girl quickly explained. "Big sister, I'm not a scammer. Today I haven't sold a single flower. If I go home like this, my parents will surely beat me to death. Could you please buy a flower?" By the end of her pleas, she was sounding close to tears. "How much is one flower?" 1 cent. At this time, vegetables were selling for 3 cents per jean, half a kilogram, yet an ordinary camellia flower was priced at 1 cent each. Only a fool would buy it. The girl had sized up Ni Yang as someone kind-hearted and good-looking, so she dared to ask for a high price. Ni Yang looked at her, and even though she knew the girl was a swindler, she couldn't harden her heart to refuse. "Little girl, how many flowers do you have here?" "I'll take them all." "Really?" The girl's eyes lit up. Ni Yang nodded. The girl counted the flowers in her hand, then said, "Big sister, I have exactly 21 flowers. Are you really going to buy them all?" "Yes." Ni Yang took out 2 1-cent coins and handed them to the girl. The girl hesitated for a moment. Her gaze falling on the bag hanging from the cart handle, she swallowed. "Big sister, I'll take your 2 cents, but could I trade the remaining 1 cent for a pancake?" Ni Yang removed the bag. "You can have all of these and the money as well." "Thank you, big sister." The girl took the bag, bowed towards Ni Yang. "May you have peace all your life." After saying this, she turned and ran off into the alley. The fact that the girl knew to bow and give thanks indicated that she was not inherently bad. Ni Yang wondered what kind of parents she had as she watched the girl's retreating figure, her eyes narrowing slightly. Once the girl was back in the alley, she took out a pancake and started eating ravenously. In less than a minute, she had finished 1 pancake. Though her stomach was barely half full, she couldn't bear to eat the remaining pancake. Looking around and seeing no one, she walked over to the edge of the alley. She took a brick from the wall and cautiously hid the pancake and a 5-cent coin inside the wall. After hiding her precious stash, she carefully put the brick back in place. Chapter 321. I always listen to my wife, personally unmasking you _6. The generous sister had given her 2 yuan today. Normally, she could only manage to save 1 or 2 cents. She would keep the remaining 60 cents to account for when she got back. The little girl was named Qian Zhaodi. The name Zhaodi, as the name suggests, was given because the adults in her family wanted to raise a boy. After safely stashing away the money, Qian Zhaodi dragged her frail steps back home. As she passed a small puddle, She carefully washed her face and thoughtfully, she slurped up some water to rinse her mouth. She couldn't let her parents know that she had snuck a bite. Qian Zhaodi stopped in front of a brick house with a shining light, took a deep breath, and went in. The light inside the house was warm, and you could hear such dialogue. Son, eat more meat. You can grow taller by eating more meat. Meat. Qian Zhaodi couldn't help but lick her lips. She couldn't even remember the last time she had meat. But the little boy in the house protested. I don't want to eat meat. I want to eat chicken legs. I want to eat braised chicken legs. The gentle female voice soothed. Son, Mom didn't buy any chicken today. I'll make you braised chicken tomorrow, okay? Just have one bite today, be a good boy. No. Qian Zhaodi walked into the room. The room fell silent. The little boy at the head of the table glanced at Qian Zhaodi in a threatening manner. This little boy was Qian Zhaodi's younger brother, Qian Wangkai. The woman sitting on Qian Wangkai's left was the mistress of this house, Zhao Xiaoxi. The man sitting to the right of Qian Wangkai was the master of this house, Qian Shengqian. Worthless girl, you're finally back. Where's the money? Zhao Xiaoxi stood up cursing and swearing, reaching out to her. Qian Zhaodi took out the crumpled 60 cents from her pocket and handed them to the woman. The next second, her ears were harshly twisted. You always bring back so little. Confess. Have you worthless girl, been squirreling money away? Qian Zhaodi cried out in pain. No. Mom, I haven't. Qian Shengqian swung a duster harshly onto the girl's face and arms, leaving glaring red marks. You worthless piece of trash. If you dare hide money, I'll beat you to death. Beat her to death. Beat this money-wasting good-for-nothing to death. Qian Wangkai clapped joyously on the chair, his eyes flashing with excitement. Qian Zhaodi immediately knelt down. Mom, Dad, I didn't conceal anything, really I didn't. Please stop hitting me. Only then did Qian Shengqian and his wife Zhao Xiaoxi stop. Unlucky thing. Come and eat now. Don't let word get out and have people saying we mistreat you and don't let you eat your fill. Zhao Xiaoxi harshly knocked a chipped bowl on the table. The broken bowl contained half a bowl of rice soup, with only a few grains of rice in it, a sharp contrast to the other rich dishes on the table. Qian Zhaodi got up from the ground, trembling hands holding the bowl of rice soup, sipping it in small mouthfuls. This was the life she lived at home. It was also the reason why, even though she was 12 years old, people always thought she was only 7 or 8. Qian Wangkai picked up a piece of meat and held it out to Qian Zhaodi. Money wasting good for nothing. Do you want to eat meat? Qian Zhaodi swallowed. Yes. How could she not? Even in her dreams she wanted to. The next second, Qian Wangkai threw the meat onto the floor. If you want to eat meat, pick it up from the floor with your mouth. Remember not to use your hands. Qian Zhaodi's eyes tightened. But before she could react, her ear was once again violently twisted. You worthless wench. Didn't you hear what your brother said to you? He kindly offered you some meat, and you dare to glare at him. Eat that piece of meat right now, or I'll beat you to death. Although the meat had fallen on the floor, it was still a piece of meat after all. Thank you, little brother, I'll eat it now. Qian Zhaodi placed her bowl on the table, leaned down, and bit into the fatty meat with her mouth. The fat on the meat was cut quite thick, providing a satisfying mouthful. Yet, Qian Zhaodi's eyes were welling up with tears. Being brought up in a family that values males more than females, she could only struggle to survive. But she would not accept her fate. Once she had saved enough money, she would leave this place. What Qian Zhaodi didn't know was that without an introduction letter, she wouldn't even be able to buy a train ticket. Without an introduction letter, even if she did manage to escape, she would likely end up as a vagabond. Ha! Mom, Dad, doesn't she look like a dog? The dog at the Tian's house also eats this way. Just like it. My precious son is so smart. Qian Wangkai scooped up another piece of meat and threw it on the floor, exclaiming in excitement. Money-losing goods, you bark like a dog. Bark now. Are you deaf? Woof. With a piece of meat in her mouth, Qian Zhaodi swallowed all her grievances and unwillingness. The laughter in the room grew louder. From a distance, it sounded like a warm and happy family. After Anai Yang returned home, she started to make dinner. She had stayed in Guangguan City for 6 days, so she planned to make a hearty meal that night. Soon, A sumptuous meal of 4 dishes and a soup was served. The braised pork belly wasn't greasy at all. Braised pork belly is a good source of quality protein and fatty acids, providing heme and cysteamine to improve iron absorption, useful for correcting iron deficiency anemia. It also nourishes the bodice and moistens dryness. Therefore, fatty meat is a good thing for women. The shrimp stir-fried with peas was refreshing. The combination of shrimp and peas can help enhance the bust line. Having been out for 6 days, 4 of which were spent on a train eating simple meals, Na Yang had almost forgotten her bust enhancement plans. Now that she was back home, she had to pick it up again. The spicy and delicious boiled fish. Water-boiled fish not only tastes good but also helps to curb cravings. Na Yang's water-boiled fish was so delicious that at the end of the meal, Nai Chingue and Nai Tsuehua even used the remaining soup to make a rice soup. Shepherd's purse tofu soup. Shepherd's purse contains a lot of oxalic acid, tartaric acid, malic acid, protein, fat, etc., which can treat red and swollen pain, conjunctivitis, night blindness, glaucoma, etc. Furthermore, the combination of mustard and tofu has the effect of beautifying the eyes and refreshing the body. Eating more shepherd's purse will make your eyes speak. As soon as Nai Yang brought the dishes to the table, Nai Chengui walked in holding his bag. Yang, glad you're back. Since you left, your mother has been waiting for you every day. Nai Yang said with a smile. Nai auntie, we can eat now. Several little white rabbits hopped in behind Nai Chengui. Nai Yang squinted her eyes. These rabbits seem pretty chubby. They have been raised for more than half a year. How could they not be fat? Nai Tsuehua walked in holding a child. Nai Yang stroked her chin. Mom and auntie, would you prefer roasted rabbit or braised rabbit? What? They're planning to eat rabbit? Hearing this, it seemed that the rabbits understood. They got scared and ran out of the room. Chapter 322. The little fangirl visits. Plans to advance _1 initially, Nai Yang had found these 8 small rabbits on the mountain. Now the little rabbits have all become fat rabbits. Moreover, these rabbits are very smart, knowing to take a stroll during the day and return at night. However, they are quite destructive and have nibbled all the green plants and fresh grass around the house to the point where nothing grows anymore. At this moment, the 4 of them sat at the dining table, eating and discussing how to cook the rabbit meat. Why don't we cook spicy rabbit meat? I had it once in Inner Mongolia. The spicy rabbit meat didn't have the slightest gamey taste. Nai Chingui picked up a piece of braised pork belly. Spicy rabbit meat is also good. Nai Yang nodded. Wow. This pork tastes so delicious. After Nai Chingui took a bite of the pork belly, his face was full of astonishment. The meat was tender and melted in the mouth, with layers of fat and lean pork. When you bite into it, you get a burst of juices. It was layered, rich but not greasy. Truly heaven on earth, rarely seen in the mortal world. Nai Yang laughed and said, "This is braised pork belly." Braised pork belly? Nai Chingui in surprise. Is it one of the 4 treasures of Dongpa? Nai Yang nodded. Nai Chingui further said, Yang, you are so amazing. You even know how to cook braised pork belly. Had only seen this dish in books before, he didn't expect to taste it today. He felt so lucky. Having a piece of braised pork belly, then a piece of spicy and fragrant boiled fish, followed by a bowl of cleansing and grease-cutting shepherd's purse tofu soup, he felt his life had peaked. Li Xiangxian's dormitory. Ever since she was subtly expelled from the Mo family by old lady Mo, she had been bedridden with a serious illness. During her illness, she had a clear understanding of a lot of things. First, she had lost face in front of old lady Mo and must regain it quickly. It seemed that some plans needed to be expedited. Second, Nai Yang was a stumbling block in her life, and this stumbling block must be removed. Otherwise, her future life will continue to be overshadowed by Nai Yang. Li Xianxian had a good memory, and clearly remembered many things from her past life. She took out a notebook and started to write. This time, she had to make everyone look at her with new eyes. The light in the room wasn't very good. Li Xianxian took a piece of clothing and draped it over herself, then got up to open the curtains, letting the warm light in from outside. Just then, the door was pushed open and a short-haired girl walked in. This was Li Xiangxian's roommate Zhang Yingying. Zhang Yingying was a very kind girl. She had been taking care of Li Xianxian throughout her illness. Xianxian, I brought dumplings from the cafeteria. Do you want to eat them? Zhang Yingying offered the lunchbox to Li Xianxian. Li Xianxian didn't look up and said, "Thank you, just put it there, I'll eat it later." Okay. Zhang Yingying put the lunchbox aside and leaned over curiously. "Xianxian, what are you writing?" Li Xianxian quickly closed the notebook. "Sorry, Yingying. I'm writing a piece that I plan to submit to the newspaper agency in a few days, so I can't show it to you right now." Zhang Yingying exclaimed. "Writing? Does that mean we'll have a famous writer in our dorm soon?" Being a writer in this era was a very lofty and remarkable profession which ordinary people could hardly achieve. Li Xianxian modestly smiled. "I wouldn't say a famous writer. I'm just writing casually." Zhang Yingying excitedly grabbed Li Xianxian's arm. "Xianxian, you are so amazing." Li Xianxian continued. "Don't rush to praise me yet, I'm just trying. It's not certain whether the newspaper agency will publish it." Zhang Yingying said, "With your talent, Xianxian, the newspaper agency will definitely not reject it." Li Xianxian laughed. "I'll take that as a good sign." Zhang Yingying added, "Xianxian, you're not fully recovered yet, you should eat first. Only when you're full can you write better." Li Xianxian nodded. That night, Li Xianxian stayed up all night writing, without any sleep. By the time Zhang Yingying woke up at 8 o'clock, Li Xianxian was still writing at the desk. Zhang Yingying exclaimed, "Xianxian, you didn't sleep all night, did you?" Li Xianxian nodded. Zhang Yingying continued, "Xianxian, this isn't good. You shouldn't neglect your health for writing. Go wash up and sleep now, it's past 8 already." Chapter 323. Little Fangirl Visits. Plan to advance _2. Li Xianxian smiled. "No worries, inspiration is flooding in. Just wait for me to finish writing this piece." Even though Li Xianxian's memory is excellent, the saying "the dullest pencil is better than the sharpest memory" still applies to her. She still needs to write down an outline in advance, so she doesn't forget. After the outlines were listed, she started to write each piece one after another. Her works, each one of them, are always stunning. In this life, she is determined to be the most dazzling person, standing shoulder to shoulder with Mo Baichuan. The only pitiful thing was those who deserved to die didn't die. But that's okay, she just needs to hurry up and publish her work in advance. After all, she is an original author. Does she have to worry about someone plagiarizing her work? Zhang Yingying started to wash her face and comb her hair. "Xianxian, take care of your health." Li Xianxian nodded. "I know." Yang did not go to the city today, but was at home pickling sour cabbage. The sour fish has been selling well recently, and there isn't much pickled cabbage left at home. Tsuehua walked out. Yang, teach me your secret technique for pickling cabbage, so I can make it for you in the future." "Sure." Yang nodded and shared her secrets to making pickled cabbage while she was preparing it. Tsuehua is a quick learner. She understood after just one demonstration. Sister Yang. Gooden and several other kids excitedly ran into the yard. "Gooden, Penghu, Xiaohua. Why are you guys running so fast?" Yang gave them a warm smile. "Sister Yang, there's a lady outside looking for you. She said she is your good friend. This woman, she dresses just like a little princess from a fairy tale." "A lady?" Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. "What does this lady look like?" If she's a girl of their age from the village, Gooden and Penghu would definitely recognize her. If she's not, Yang hasn't met anyone new recently. For a moment, Yang really couldn't guess who could be looking for her. Gooden said, "Sister Yang, why not go out and see for yourself?" "All right." Yang untied her apron. "Mom, I'm going out for a bit." Tsuehua nodded. "Sure, you go ahead, leave everything here to me." Yang then went out with the children. Outside stood a young woman dressed in an imported princess dress, with slightly curly chestnut hair resting on her shoulders. A shiny little crown was on her head, and she was carrying an exquisite little handbag. Her nails were painted with pink nail polish. She really did look like a princess straight out of a fairy tale book. It was Li Yinran. Yang did give her address to Li Yinran last time, but she didn't expect Li Yanran would actually come. Yang Yang. Li Yanran came running towards Anai Yang and hugged her excitedly. Yanran. Anai Yang hugged Li Yanran back. Yang Yang, Li Yanran continued. You have no idea how long it took me to find this place. Anai Yang said with a smile. You could have just called me beforehand. I could pick you up. Our place is indeed hard to find. Li Yanran replied. I didn't want to inconvenience you by having you leave the village to take a call. Even though Li Yanran is a wealthy young lady, she still understands the ways of the world. Moreover, she truly admires and respects Anai Yang, so she chose to visit Anai Yang intentionally. I'll introduce you, Anai Yang went on. This is Gooden, this is Penghu, and this is Xiaohua. You three can just call this beautiful lady, Sister Yanran. The three children greeted Li Yanran politely. Hello, Sister Yanran. Li Yanran replied to them with a smile. Hello, you guys. I came here in a hurry, so I didn't have time to bring gifts. Next time I'll definitely bring some for you. Sister Anai Yang is very beautiful and gentle, and it turns out her good friend is stunning and kind as well. In no time, the three children felt very fond towards Li Yanran. Gooden said shyly, Sister Yanran, you don't have to be so polite. After speaking, Gooden, Penghu, and Xiaohua ran off. Watching the children run off, Li Yanran said, They're so cute. Anai Yang smiled. Yes, they're at an age where they don't have a care in the world. Come in, let's go inside. Li Yanran nodded and followed Anai Yang's steps. They arrived in the yard where Anai Tsuehua was pickling the sour cabbage. She looked up, stunned by Li Yanran's appearance. My goodness! This young lady was dressed so elegantly. She looked just like a modern lady from the big city posters. Chapter 324. The Little Fangirl Visits, Plans to Advance _3. Anai Yang introduced her. Mom, this is my good friend Li Yanran. Yanran, this is my mom. Li Yanran also gasped in surprise. No wonder Anai Yang is so beautiful. It's all because of the good genes. Li Yanran suppressed her astonishment and politely said, Hello, Auntie, you can just call me Yanran. Anai Tsuehua wiped her hands on her apron. Hello, come in and take a seat. It hasn't been long since mother and daughter arrived in Beijing. It's not easy for Anai Yang to have a good friend. Anai Yang brought Li Yanran into the house. Yanran, you sit first. I will make you a cup of tea. Li Yanran quickly stood up. Yang, I can just sit casually. Don't make me feel embarrassed. Anai Yang laughed and said, What's there to be embarrassed? I'll come over with the tea. Anai Yang turned around and went into the small kitchen. Li Yanran sat in the living room looking around. A very simple farmhouse, simple but elegant and cozy. In the living room, there was a dining table and few benches, a baby carriage on the side, and on the cabinet near the window was a jade vase with a magnolia flower in it. Now it's April, not the time for magnolia flowers to bloom. Could they all be fake flowers? Li Yanran walked over curiously, and found to her surprise that it wasn't a fake flower but a dried flower. The flower still had a faint fragrance. That's incredible. They managed to preserve the magnolia flower like this. Li Yanran exclaimed in awe. Yanran, come taste the milk tea. Anai Yang brought a tray from outside. Li Yanran excitedly pointed at the magnolia flower. Yang, where did you buy this magnolia flower? Anai Yang smiled and said, I didn't buy it, I picked it from our yard last summer. Picked? Li Yanran exclaimed. Then how did you preserve it like this? Anai Yang explained. First pick the fresh magnolia flower, remove the leaves, then allow it to air dry in a ventilated area, away from sunlight. Finally, use a bunch of herbal medicine to smoke it. Li Yanran nodded. That sounds complicated. Yang, you're amazing. Anai Yang placed the tray on the table. Yanran, come taste the milk tea. Milk tea? Li Yanran's eyes lit up. She ran to Anai Yang's side, picked up the milk tea and took a big gulp. This tastes exactly like the New York milk tea. Upon saying this, it dawned on Li Yanran. She exclaimed, New York wouldn't stand for Anai Yang, would it? Anai Yang nodded slightly, smart. Oh my God. Li Yanran was so astonished she did not know what to say. Turns out New York milk tea is Anai Yang's. You have to understand, Li Yanran is a loyal fan of New York milk tea. She drinks it almost every day. But she rarely buys it herself. It's usually brought by the servants at home. She thought Yang was just an ordinary farm girl who cured Hudi. Who knew Yang could be so impressive? No wonder she could confront Li Xianxian that day, making Li Xianxian lose her composure, and be sent home by Madame Yang. I'm growing more and more in awe of you. Li Yanren's eyes sparkled as she reached for a piece of dried fruit from the tray. Is this strawberry? Yes, it's dried strawberries. Try them and see how they taste. Li Yanran put the dried strawberry in her mouth. It was crispy, not only retaining the sour and sweet taste of strawberries, but also had the taste of dessert crunching in the mouth, making you want another piece after eating one. Li Yanran, with her mouth full of dried strawberries, mumbled. Yang, did you make this yourself? Yes. Li Yanran felt like kneeling to Yang. Yang, you're too amazing. Yang smiled lightly. Well, just the third best in the world. Li Yanran continued. Yang, what machine did you use to make this dried fruit? A drying machine? But there were no food dryers in the country at that time. Yang said. I baked it in a bread kiln. A bread kiln? Li Yanran asked curiously. What's a bread kiln? Come with me, I'll show you. Yes. Li Yanran excitedly followed Yang. The two came to the corner of the yard where Yang pointed at a large object. This is the bread kiln. So this is it. Li Yanran squatted down, touching and observing it with a look of curiosity. Yang, is this bread kiln really that miraculous? Chapter 325. The little fangirl visits, plans to advance _4. Li Yanran was born into a wealthy family. When had she ever seen such things? Even the large roosters of the countryside were a first for her. Just now at the entrance of the village, she had been scared by a large rooster. Yang laughed, saying, Of course there is such magic. A baking oven can roast anything, only limited by what you can't imagine. There's nothing a baking oven can't bake. Li Yanran's eyes turned toward a little rabbit gnawing on a carrot. Can you roast a rabbit? Yang nodded. Of course, why don't we have roasted rabbit for lunch? Yes. Li Yanran nodded and swallowed. The rabbit nearby thought, why do people always want to eat us nowadays? Then I'll go catch the rabbit now. I'll go with you. Li Yanran followed behind Yang. Yang took up 2 carrots, crouched on the ground, attracting all the small rabbits. Taking advantage of the rabbit's distraction, she swiftly grabbed 2 small rabbits. The rest of the rabbits fled in fear. My God, humans are so scary. Li Yanran followed by Yang's side. Yang, let me hold one. Yang handed her one of the small rabbits. Li Yanran showed a mischievous grin as she petted the rabbit's fur. The little bunny is so cute. Yang was worried that her next sentence would be, Bunny is so cute, why are you eating the bunny? Fortunately, Li Yanran was not the type of girl who overflowed with sympathy. After all, every creature has its own rules for survival. Suehua, who had finished pickling sour cabbage, came over from the other side. Yang, are we having rabbit for lunch? Yang nodded. Roast one, braise one. Suehua continued. Hand them to me, I'll kill them. All right. Yang and Li Yanran handed the rabbits in their hands to Suehua. Suehua carried a rabbit in one hand, muttered the rabbit-killing song. Little rabbit, don't blame us. You are a meal to us humans, shedding your fur for a cloth coat, returning again in the spring of next year. Li Yanran curiously asked, Auntie, what song is that? Yang laughed and explained, This is our local chicken-killing song that my mom has adapted into a rabbit-killing song. Back in our hometown, whenever we kill a chicken, we always recite this song. The original text begins, Little chicken, don't blame us. This was a unique memory for children of the 1980s. In later generations, this kind of folk rhyme would be forgotten. Li Yanran followed behind, reciting the saying to herself and then burst into laughter. I must say, it's pretty rhyming. Yang nodded. Indeed. Before long, Suehua had prepared the 2 rabbits. Yang marinated one of the rabbits with seasonings and placed it in a basin, then went to light the fire for the baking oven. Li Yanran followed Yang's side. Yang, let me try, okay? Sure. and Na Yang handed the match to Li Yanran. Li Yanran, being a wealthy heiress, when had she ever done this before? After trying for a good while, she only managed to create thick smoke without starting the fire, and had to give the match back to Na Yang. Yang Yang, you do it! Na Yang took the match, lightly struck it. Flick. The match lit up. Soon, flames came up from the dry grass in the baking oven, becoming more and more vigorous inside. Li Yanran, quite upset, said, "This damn oven! It's unfair to newcomers." Na Yang laughed softly. Li Yanran then asked, "Once the fire is started, where will you put the rabbit to roast?" Na Yang explained, "Once the oven's temperature reaches a certain level, you take out the firewood, you can roast things inside. It's like a natural oven." Li Yanran was skeptical. "Can it really be fully cooked?" Na Yang remained mysterious. "You'll see soon." After getting the fire ready in the oven, Na Yang went to the kitchen to prepare other dishes. "Yanran, do you have any dishes you especially like? I can cook them for you." It was her first time at Na Yang's house, so Li Yanran needed to be reserved to avoid scaring Na Yang. "Yang Yang, I eat anything. I'm not picky." If her parents had heard her say that, they'd probably be moved to tears. Na Yang laughed. "Then I'll cook whatever." "Sure." Just then, there was a child's crying in the air. Li Yanran asked, "Where's that child coming from?" "It's my little sister, she's over 9 months old now." Na Yang explained. Li Yanran exclaimed in surprise, "Wow, Yang Yang, you have a younger sister? I'll go check on her. I love children." Chapter 326. The Little Fangirl Visits. Plans to Advance _5. Go ahead. Na Yang nodded slightly. Li Yanran truly adored children, and little Na Yin was equally fond of her. Peals of laughter, big and small, echoed continuously from the courtyard. Na Yang rolled up her sleeves, preparing a table filled with fine dishes such as sour fish, grilled rabbit, spicy rabbit meat, fried river shrimp, vegetable tofu soup, and so on. It was a feast for the eye, nose, and palate. Li Yanran almost drooled as she watched from the side. It smelled incredibly delicious. Even better than what the chef they'd hired from abroad could make. Na Tsuehua warmly said, "Yanran, don't be shy, come sit down and eat." "Thank you, Auntie." Li Yanran expressed her thanks politely and took a seat. Since it was her first time visiting Na Yang's house, she was a bit reserved and hesitant to help herself to the dishes. Na Tsuehua stood up and used serving chopsticks to serve Li Yanran. "Yanran, don't be shy when you're here at Auntie's house. We might not have any fancy dishes to offer, but go ahead and eat and drink as you wish. Please don't starve yourself." Li Yanran smiled and said, "Auntie, you're too kind. Yang has prepared a whole table full of delicious dishes, and you're still saying there's no good food. Then eat up. Don't be shy." Li Yanran nodded, picked up a slice of fish and put it in her mouth. Truthfully, she didn't have any particular expectations for the fish dish. After all, fish has a strong smell. But the taste of this piece of fish astounded her. The fish was not only exceptionally tender but also sour and spicy, making it extremely appetizing. It was so good that Li Yanran wished she could swallow her own tongue as well. She never knew fish could be cooked to taste this delicious. "It's delicious." Li Yanran gave Na Yang a thumbs up. "Yang, your cooking is absolutely amazing." Na Yang smiled slightly. "Thank you." Li Yanran thought the fish was already delicious enough, until she tasted the grilled rabbit. The grilled rabbit was crispy outside and tender inside. The outer skin was sprinkled with a layer of chili powder and cumin powder, and once she bit down, oil oozed out, making every mouthful a delight. The deliciousness made Li Yanran doubt, could this rabbit meat really be grilled in that ordinary oven outside? This was absolutely magical. The spicy rabbit meat had a unique flavor, and the refreshing vegetable tofu soup effectively cut the richness. One mouthful of meat, one mouthful of soup, happiness knew no bounds. Li Yanran, who usually only ate half a bowl of rice, managed to consume 2 large bowls of rice and a heap of dishes that day. It wasn't until around 6 in the evening that Li Yanran reluctantly proposed to leave. If possible, she even wanted to become Na Yang's real sister, so she could live in Na Yang's house and eat Na Yang's cooking every day. Na Yang was truly amazing. Not only was she a year younger than Yanran, She was also more beautiful. And not just that, she could cook and had excellent medical skills. She was nearly omnipotent. Even Yanran, the heir to a wealthy family, couldn't compare to half of her. She completely overturned Yanran's understanding of country girls. When she got home, she saw her brother Li Tingji sitting on the couch in the living room, carving something out of a piece of wood. Li Yanran curiously asked, "Brother, what are you doing?" Without looking up, Li Tingji replied, "Carving a handicraft." Li Yanran continued, "Why are you making a handicraft? Is it for Li Xianxian?" Li Tingji didn't answer, just continued carving the object in his hand. The crystal lamp light cast a gentle glow on his face, highlighting his focused and serious demeanor. Li Yanran sighed. "Brother, are you out of your mind? Li Xianxian doesn't like you at all. She likes Mo Baichuan." Li Tingji didn't reply. He was never much of a talker. His way of liking someone was simple, quietly loving, silently protecting. As long as that person was happy, that was enough. Li Yanran continued. "Brother, are you listening to me at all?" Li Tingji remained silent. Li Yanran said, "Brother, you're not blind. How could you be attracted to someone like Li Xianxian? She's not worthy of you at all. Don't you dare badmouth Xianxian." Li Tingji looked up at Li Yanran. Xianxian is knowledgeable and talented. He had never met a girl as talented and knowledgeable as Li Xianxian. What truly conquered Li Tingji was a poem by Li Xianxian, published in a wall newspaper. "I came by the moonlight, only because you were in the mountains. The mountain breeze brushed my hair, neck, bare shoulders, and the moonlight clothed me in splendor." Chapter 327. The Little Fangirl Visits. Plans to Advance _6. Could an ordinary girl compose such a poem if she weren't talented? Absolutely impossible. Li Yanran rolled her eyes speechlessly. "Brother, those involved are often perplexed while bystanders see things clearly. Don't be deceived by appearances. Li Xianxian is not as wonderful as you think. You have no idea. Her manner of eating was so disgusting at the Mo family's last time. It was nauseating." Li Yanran didn't like Li Xianxian one bit, and she couldn't understand why Li Tingji fell for Li Xianxian. How could such a smart and savvy girl like her have such a foolish brother? Out of all the people, why does he have to fall for Li Xianxian? She's such a flirt. Li Yanran. Li Tingji lifted his head, each word filled with a stern warning. Silently, Li Yanran responded, all right, I won't say it." Li Tingji glared at Li Yanran, cautioning, "If I ever hear you insult Xianxian again, even if you're my sister, I won't be easy on you." Li Yanran chuckled lightly. "What will you do? Kill your own sister?" Li Tingji coldly responded, "Try and see." At his words, Li Yanran shivered involuntarily. Oh my God! Could her foolish brother be losing his mind? This won't do. She can't let Li Tingji sink any deeper into this. Li Tingji needs to see someone who is superior to Li Xianxian. Then an image popped into Li Yanran's mind of someone with picturesque facial features. Enai Yang. Not only is Enai Yang 1,000, no 1,000,000 times more attractive than Li Xianxian, but she's also exceptionally talented. Most importantly, her cooking is delicious, leaving Li Xianxian far behind in the dust. Yes, it should be Enai Yang. Grinning, Li Yanran said, "Brother, aren't you going to ask where I went today?" Li Tingji coolly responded, "I don't know." Li Yanran wasn't bothered by Li Tingji's attitude. Her weird brother never had a good expression for anyone. "I went to a friend's house. Her name is Yang Yang, incredibly beautiful and very capable. Lots of times better than Li Xianxian." Upon hearing the last sentence, Li Tingji's expression changed abruptly. "Stop your unrealistic fantasies. In this life, aside from Xianxian, I will never love anyone else." Li Yanran responded speechlessly, "Brother, don't be so cocky. What if you end up truly liking Yang Yang?" Li Tingji stated firmly, "That's absolutely impossible. He has seen plenty of attractive girls before, but he is not the kind to judge a person based solely on looks. He values their inner essence. What if you fall for her?" Li Yanran raised an eyebrow. "There are no what-ifs." Li Yanran continued, "Brother, is it really worth it? Li Xianxian doesn't like you at all." Not only does Li Xianxian not like Li Tingji, but she's also stringing him along, giving him mixed signals, which is what Li Yanran dislikes most about Li Xianxian. Yet Li Tingji can't seem to see it, treating Li Xianxian like a treasure. Li Tingji said, "This is my business, not yours." Li Yanran replied, "But you're my brother. How is it not related to me?" "Take care of yourself," said Li Tingji as he stood up, put on his coat, and walked out. "Brother, where are you going?" Li Yanran immediately followed behind Li Tingji. Li Tingji turned to look back at Li Yanran. "Stop following me." With a sigh of resignation, Li Yanran didn't bother guessing where her foolish brother was heading. He was surely off to find Li Xianxian. It seemed she must devise a plan for Ni Yang and Li Tingji to meet. Li Yanran stroked her chin in contemplation. As expected, Li Tingji had indeed gone to see Li Xianxian. He waited for a long time outside the girls' dormitory until he finally saw Li Xianxian come downstairs. "Tingji, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting." "It's fine." Li Tingji seemed a bit nervous standing in front of the girl he liked. "I'm not in a rush." Li Xianxian glanced at Li Tingji and said, "By the way, Tingji, I have a favor to ask." "Whatever you need, Xianxian," Li Tingji said. "As long as I can help, I definitely will." Li Xianxian asked, "Could you lend me 20,000 yuan?" Mo Baichuan's birthday was fast approaching, and Li Xianxian wanted to give him a surprise. Additionally, she wanted to repay a debt. Without hesitation, Li Tingji responded, "Of course, Xianxian, but I don't have the cash on me right now. How about I bring it to you tomorrow morning?" At this, Li Xianxian looked shaken. She knew that Li Tingji had always liked her, but she hadn't expected him to agree to lend her the money so readily. After all, 20,000 wasn't a small sum. 20,000 in the 80s was equivalent to 200,000 in later years. If she had known how much Li Tingji liked her, she wouldn't have needed to sell blood to buy the ice skin jade cream last time. She could have just borrowed the money from Li Tingji. What a miscalculation. Li Xianxian internally kicked herself. How could she have forgotten about Li Tingji? Maintaining her composure, Li Xianxian nodded. "Thank you, Tingji. By the way, why did you call me out so late at night?" Li Tingji continued. "Oh, I have something to give you." He then took out a wood carving from his pocket and handed it to Li Xianxian. The wood carving depicted a phoenix soaring with wings spread wide. In Li Tingji's heart, Li Xianxian was a noble phoenix. Li Xianxian reached out to take it. "Thank you. I really like it." Li Tingji blushed a bit. "I'm glad you like it. I'll take my leave if there's nothing else." Li Xianxian nodded. Li Tingji turned to leave. Just then Li Xianxian suddenly called out to Li Tingji, "Tingji, wait." Li Tingji halted. "Xianxian, what is it?" Walking over, Li Xianxian gently embraced Li Tingji before whispering in his ear. "Tingji, thank you so much. I feel really fortunate to have such a good confidant in you in this lifetime." Li Tingji froze, his heart pounding in his chest. Feeling Li Tingji's heartbeat, a smile tugged at the corners of Li Xianxian's mouth. It seemed that she had underestimated his feelings for her. There was nothing wrong with Li Tingji. He was well off and influential. It was just that he paled in comparison to Mo Baichuan. The dim night light conveniently concealed their movements. Had it been daylight, it undoubtedly would have caused a stir, especially considering the conservative standards of male-female relationships in the 80s. Having returned from the future, Li Xianxian didn't think there was anything inappropriate about a hug between a man and a woman, as long as their relationship remained that of platonic friends. As for what Li Tingji thought, that was none of her concern. Chapter 328. Beautiful Rose Wall. Have Western food together _1 Li Xianxian thoroughly enjoyed the sense of superiority from being pursued by men. What was this behavior called? In later times it was referred to as being a white lotus, green tea bitch. But Li Xianxian certainly did not see it that way. If she had the ability to make men submit at her feet, offering her everything, why was she labeled in various derogatory terms? As for those who lacked the ability, they could only resort to jealousy and slander. Feeling that the time was right, Li Xianxian let go of Li Tingji. "Tingji, it's getting late. You should head back." "Okay." Li Tingji seemed slightly out of it. By the time he came to his senses, Li Xianxian had already disappeared into the dense night. He promised himself to protect Li Xianxian for the rest of his life. Staring at the direction of Li Xianxian's disappearance, a firm resolve glimmered in Li Tingzi's eyes. Yang has been quite busy recently. She was not only occupied with the noodle restaurant's affairs, but also the renovation of the new house. The new house was only built to the second floor, still 2 floors short of completion. The outer walls were already set up. Yang planned to plant roses around the walls to create a natural rose wall. Roses were vine-like plants, with blossoms that could be pink or red. If allowed to grow all over the wall, it would be quite a sight. Even when there were no flowers, a lush green wall wouldn't be unsightly. Living under a beautiful rose wall, just imagining it felt so romantic. Life should be filled with moments of charm and grace. In reality, Yang always had a love for life and the countryside, but in her previous life, she was too busy with work and earnings and missed out on the beauty of life. So, she wants to achieve all that she missed in her previous life in this one. Besides the rose wall, Yang also planned to build a grape trellis in the courtyard, with a stone table and chairs under it, where they could laze about and eat grapes in the summer. On the night of Qixi Festival, Chinese Valentine's, one could eavesdrop on the conversation between Niulong and Jinu, cowherd and weaver girl, under the grape trellis. She wanted to dig a small pond too, plant some water lilies, raise a few koi fish and a couple of turtles. Yang picked up her pen and started designing the courtyard. In a little while, a gorgeous little courtyard began taking shape on the paper. Yang clapped her hands, rose from her chair, and started on the first design on her blueprint. The rose wall. The wall was already complete. All it needed now were the roses. Roses. There were rose seeds sold in the city's gardening center, but the seeds take a long time to sprout. By the time the roses enveloped the entire wall, it would be into the next year. Yang rubbed her chin pensively. Suddenly, she remembered there were wild roses on the mountain behind. The wild roses were a fiery red color, exotic and vibrant, even more so framed by the green leaves. It was now mid-spring, the perfect time to grow wild roses. Come summertime, a wall full of red flowers could be seen. However, as Yang had just moved to Jinghua village, she couldn't remember where the wild roses were. Yang picked up a small hoe, put on her carry bag, greeted Tsuehua, and headed outside. On reaching the village center, she saw Gooden playing marbles under a banyan tree with a few kids. Coincidentally, as Yang arrived, she saw young Guobao running towards them, exhilarated. Sister Yang. Guobao. Yang squatted down and opened her arms to him. Young Guobao rushed into Yang's arms. Sister Yang, I missed you a lot. Debeo, what brought you here? Gooden approached, his face filled with surprise. Gooden. Young Guobao turned and hugged Gooden. Gooden, a bit embarrassed, said, Grown men, all this hugging is a bit. Young Guobao interrupted. Oh Gooden, sister Yang, I brought gifts for you all. As he said this, Yang Guobao took out 2 blue boxes, slightly larger than a cigarette pack. These are Tetris game consoles? Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. She didn't expect Tetris game consoles to exist in this era. She thought these consoles were from the 90s. But having a Tetris game console in this era was sure more impressive than owning a cell phone in the later era. What's this? Gooden asked curiously. This is a video game console, it'll teach you how to play. Yang Guobao switched it on, and a familiar tune filled the air. While Yang Guobao manipulated the game console, he explained to Gooden. These 4 buttons here represent up, down, left, and right and help control the direction of the Tetris blocks. The big button on the right rotates the blocks and also starts the game. Chapter 329. Beautiful Rose Wall. Have Western food together _2. The game console had a black and white display screen, containing games like Tetris, pinball, shooting, racing, and tank fighting. Gooden was a smart kid. He figured out how to operate it after just a few tries. Debeo, thank you. I really like this game console. Gooden carefully put the game console into his pocket. Yang Guobao replied with a laugh. We are good buddies, Gooden. You don't have to be so polite with me. Since it was a gift from Yang Guobao, Yang naturally did not refuse. She touched young Gobao's head and said, "Gubao, thank you." Young Gubao said, "Sister and I Yang, you should call me Debao." After all, he and Gooden were both men of the dog generation. And I Yang chuckled. Okay, Debao, Debao. Young Gubao then asked, "Sister and I Yang, where are you going?" And I Yang replied, "I thought of taking a walk on the mountain." "Oh, Gooden, do you know where there are wild roses on the hill?" Having grown up here, Gooden knew the environment of the mountain much better than an I Yang. Hearing this, Gooden scratched his head in confusion. "Wild rose? What is a wild rose?" And I Yang thought for a moment, then said, "It's spiked mallow. Do you know where the spiked mallow is on the mountain?" Spiked mallow is another name for wild rose. In the countryside, wild roses are called by this name. Sure enough, as soon as she mentioned spiked mallow, Gooden understood immediately. "Oh, Sister and I Yang, you mean spiked mallow. I know where it is, I'll take you there, but the spiked mallow is not blooming now, Sister and I Yang. Why do you want spiked mallow?" And I Yang explained with a smile, "I want to dig up the spiked mallow to build a rose wall." Young Guabao followed behind saying, "Sister and I Yang, Gooden, I'll go with you." "Sure." And I Yang nodded. The three of them, one adult and two kids, walked towards the mountain with cheerful steps. It was April, the snow had melted, tender green grass was quietly poking out of the ground, the clear call of birds echoed through the woods, giving a sense of vibrant life. "Wow. What bird is that? Is that a phoenix?" It was Yang Gobao's first time in the mountains, and he found everything exciting. And I Yang explained with a smile, "That is a golden pheasant." Yang Guobao then said, "Let's catch a golden pheasant to play with?" Gooden immediately stopped Yang Gobao's dangerous idea. No, the golden pheasant is a national second-class protected animal. It's punishable by imprisonment to catch it. The villagers of Jinghua village were especially conscious of protecting wildlife. No one in the village poached wild animals covertly. Hearing this, Yang Guobao had to abandon the idea. After a while, Gooden led an I Yang to a large bush. "Sister and I Yang, this is the spiked mallow bush." And I Yang grabbed a small hoe and began to dig out the wild roses. As Gooden and Yang Guobao didn't have any tools to help, the two boys decided to play somewhere else. In no time, an I Yang had dug up a full box of wild rose seedlings. At this moment, Yang Guobao and Gooden came running happily, each holding two plants that resembled an orchid. "Sister and I Yang, look, we found orchids." "Sister and I Yang, we'll give them to you for planting." "Thank you." And I Yang reached out to take them, thinking of planting them in her yard. Gooden then said, "Sister and I Yang, let me carry the box for you." The box an I Yang was carrying was full of wild rose seedlings. It looked very heavy. With him, a sturdy young boy around, how could they let a girl do such heavy work? And I Yang grinned. "No need, Gooden, you still need to grow taller. If you carry something so heavy, be careful, you might end up not growing tall." Gooden insisted, "Sister and I Yang, it's really okay, I'm very strong." He had often done hard work at home. And I Yang reached out and gave Gooden's head a rub. "Sister and I Yang knows you're strong. But we're going downhill now. It's dangerous for a child to carry so much. I can do it myself. You and Debao can walk ahead and lead the way. Consider it as being Sister and I Yang's little flower protectors." Upon hearing this, Gooden relented and walked up front with Yang Guobao, each holding a stick, acting as Sister and I Yang's flower protectors. Once they arrived home, and I Yang began to plant the wild roses. Yang Guobao and Gooden also helped with their little hoes. Gooden, who grew up in the village, was as efficient at the work as an adult, while Yang Guobao, having grown up in the city, was a bit clumsy with manual work. Chapter 330. Beautiful Rose Wall. Have Western food together _3. And I Yang, Yang Guobao, and Gooden were busy planting flowers at the front, with Anai Tsuehua following behind to water and fertilize them. She had no idea what Anai Yang was up to, but whatever it was, she would support unconditionally. Although Anai Tsuehua couldn't cook as well as Anai Yang, she was quite a pro when it came to nurturing plants. After all, she used to be a farmer. She knew what kind of fertilizer could make wild roses grow faster, and what kind of pesticide could keep bugs away from them. After planting the wild roses, and I Yang went to the yard and picked out a spot to plant 2 orchids. Once everything was done, and I Yang thought of a new idea when she saw a pile of timber lying nearby. She moved 8 large logs to the corner, and then went to borrow tools like a saw and planer from the carpenter, who was building a house. As the carpenter was measuring a wooden template, he curiously asked, Yang, what do you need these tools for? The tools for sawing wood were as sharp as a knife. It was not safe for a girl to handle such tools. And I Yang explained, I'm thinking of making a swing. A swing? The carpenter scratched his head. What kind of swing do you want, Yang? When I have some free time, I can make one for you. Making a swing was not only technical but also required physical strength. And I Yang was just a little girl after all. She could hardly make it on her own. This was a job for men. And I Yang smiled and said, Thank you, but I want to try it myself. When I hit a snag, I'll come to ask for your help. All right. The carpenter handed An I Yang the tools. An I Yang took the tools and politely said thank you. In fact, An I Yang had made a swing in her previous life. However, she had not done it for a long time and was a bit rusty with the methods. As she was sawing and planing the wood, Yang Guobao and Gooden squatted nearby and watched. Sister An I Yang, can you really make a swing? Of course. Yang Guobao affirmed. Sister An I Yang is the most capable person in the world. The original baking oven was jointly made by An I Yang and Yang Guobao. In April, the weather started to warm up slightly, and because An I Yang was doing physical work, her forehead was soon covered with sweat beads. An I Yang took off her outer jacket, revealing a white sweater beneath, and tied up her black hair into a bun, exuding a youthful aura. When Mo Baichuan appeared at the entrance to the An I family courtyard, he was greeted by this sight. The girl in front of him left him slightly dazed. Just then, the door next to the courtyard opened, and a beautiful middle-aged woman carrying a child walked out. Upon seeing Mo Baichuan, she paused. Who are you looking for? It was not difficult to see a resemblance to An I Yang in the woman's eyes. I'm looking for An I Yang, Mo Baichuan replied. He initially thought of politely greeting her, but on second thought he didn't need to please An I Yang specifically. If anyone should be trying to please, it should be An I Yang trying to please him. Him deigning to come personally was already giving enough face to An I Yang. This young man didn't know his place, and I Tsuehua thought and frowned subtly, then shouted for An I Yang. Yang, come quickly, someone's looking for you. I'm coming. An I Yang put down the tools in her hands, turned around and walked towards the entrance. Who's looking? Upon seeing Mo Baichuan, she stopped in her tracks. What are you doing here? Seeking attention? Even now, An I Yang still didn't think much of Mo Baichuan. Even if Mo Baichuan was the nephew of Mo Qishan. Mo Baichuan saw the surprise in An I Yang's eyes. Surprise? Shouldn't An I Yang be thrilled and flattered? How long does An I Yang intend to keep this pretense up? Mo Baichuan handed the bag he was carrying to An I Yang. Don't misunderstand. My grandmother sent me here. These Qingming fruits were also her idea. Only then did An I Yang remember that Qingming festival was approaching. Even though it was already April, this was according to the solar calendar. According to the lunar calendar, it was only the 9th of March. There were no specific dates for the Qingming festival. According to the solar term, the 12th of this month would be the Qingming festival. The tradition in Beijing was to eat Qingming fruit during the Qingming festival. Qingming fruit is essentially a large dumpling, but because mugwort juice was added when kneading the dough, the color was green. An I Yang naturally wouldn't refuse the kindness of Mrs. Mo. She reached out and took the bag. Please thank Mrs. Mo for me. Chapter 331. Beautiful Rose Wall. Have Western food together _4. Auntie Mo? Mo Baichuan frowned slightly. I'm your grandmother. Do you think it's appropriate for you to call me Auntie Mo? An I Yang gave a faint smile. I call you uncle and even brother Mo, so why wouldn't it be appropriate to call you Auntie Mo? Technically, I'm a generation older than you. Do you think it's right for you to call me by my first name? Mo Baichuan's eyes flashed with noticeable displeasure. An I Yang, do you really have to do this? I think I've made myself clear enough. He would never fancy someone like An I Yang. No matter what An I Yang does, it would all be in vain. And Young knew he was being narcissistic again. She turned her gaze to Tsuehua. Mom, I baked some fruit slices in the bread oven. Can you go check on them for me? Tsuehua, being a perceptive individual, immediately carried the child into the courtyard. Sure, I'm on it. Young looked at Mo Baichuan, trying to keep her voice calm. Mo Baichuan, I think I've already made myself clear, rest assured. I'm not even slightly interested in you. To tell you the truth, I like guys like your uncle, and am already with him. By that account, I'm of your aunt's generation. Do you think I would harbor any inappropriate thoughts towards a younger generation? Mo Baichuan tightly pursed his lips, remaining silent. How was that even possible? How could Young possibly be with that useless Mo Qishan? She must be using a feign weakness strategy to provoke him. Did she really think he, Mo Baichuan, was that easily provoked? Young continued. There's another thing, I believe I need to clarify with you. The watch last time, I found it on the grass, but when I rushed out, you were already gone. Young pondered and concluded that Mo Baichuan might have misunderstood her regarding this matter. But she truly did find the watch. Everything else was just a coincidence. Hearing her words, Mo Baichuan's eyes shone with cynicism. All right, let's say you found the watch, then why did you show up in Beijing? Accidentally preparing breakfast for Granny Mo, and then saving Mo Hutie. This was clearly Young deliberately trying to get close to him. Young was amused by his accusation. Why can't I come to Beijing? Does the entire Beijing belong to your family? You are such a dictator. Having said that, Young continued in a calm manner. I came to Beijing because it's a big city with a broad mind, where I can live a better life. Moreover, I didn't know you were from Beijing before I came here. Mo Baichuan looked at Young, continuing his interrogation. Then why didn't you leave immediately after seeing me in Beijing? Leave? Young was again amused. Why should I leave? Does the whole of Beijing belong to you, Mo Baichuan? Mo Baichuan, you can be anything in this world, but there's one thing you must never lack. Do you know what that is? Considering Mo Baichuan is Mo Qishan's nephew, Young wanted to have a proper conversation with him, but this guy simply wouldn't give her a chance. After all, it's better to resolve misunderstandings than keep them. If Mo Baichuan was going to continue being like this, then she wouldn't be polite anymore. Mo Baichuan stared at Young, his eyes full of scrutiny. Young continued. That's self-awareness, the wise know others, the enlightened know themselves. Young, I admit, your feign weakness strategy did attract me, but you should understand the principle of quitting while you're ahead. If you keep going like this, you're only going to outrun yourself. You might even end up shooting yourself in the foot. Having said this, Mo Baichuan continued. I'm willing to give you a chance to get close to me. Whether you can seize it, that's up to you. Although my wife has to be from a prominent family, if you're willing to work hard, who knows, you might be able to reach the position you want. Although Mo Baichuan truly despised Yang's approach of getting close to him, he had to admit, she did attract him. As long as Yang could mend her ways in the future, he believed he could reluctantly try to accept Yang. Of course, whether she could seize this opportunity was up to Yang herself. Yang took a deep breath and reiterated. Mo Baichuan, I'm truly with your uncle Mo Qishan, and I don't harbor any inappropriate thoughts towards you. However, you could give this opportunity to Li Xianxian. I believe she'd be overjoyed to hear about it. Chapter 332. Beautiful Rose Wall. Have Western food together _5. If things go on like this, Yang feels like she'd go insane. Why on earth did she go to the mountains to cut pig grass? If she hadn't cut the pig grass, she wouldn't have run into the suspicious narcissist, Mo Baichuan. Are you being jealous of Li Xianxian? Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes. Oh my god. Yang almost lost her patience. I feel like I've made it clear enough. Can you please stop being so narcissistic? She was going crazy. Why were simple truths so hard to articulate to Mo Baichuan? Yang. It wasn't just Yang who was speechless, Mo Baichuan was too. Despite the circumstances, she was still playing hard to get. Was she waiting for him to chase her? Want him to chase her? That was impossible. Impossible in this lifetime. I've made myself very clear. Can't you stop pretending? Are you not tired of it? And Young, this is so hard. I'm having such a tough time. The gate is over there. Hope you find your way out. With that said, Young closed the courtyard gate. She couldn't entertain Mo Baichuan too much because no matter what she did, he always interpreted it as deliberate seduction or playing hard to get. So she had no choice but to ignore him. Mo Baichuan looked at the tightly closed gate, his eyebrows furrowing deeply. What was Young trying to do? He had already lowered himself so much, but she kept playing hard to get. Didn't she realize she was overdoing things? Young, you'll regret this. With those words left behind, Mo Baichuan stormed off in a huff. He firmly believed that Young would eventually give in and come looking for him. As for whether or not had given Young a chance at that time, that was another matter. Young, in the courtyard, squinted slightly. As she had been standing there talking to Mo Baichuan for a good while, Young now felt cold. She put her coat back on and continued making the swing. Just then, Tsuehua came over from next door, holding a child. Young, has that young man just now left? Yeah. Young nodded. Young, who is he? Why did he bring you ripe qingming fruit? Tsuehua asked curiously. Young explained. He's Brother Mo's nephew. The ripe qingming fruit was sent by Granny Mo. Oh, I see. Tsuehua nodded thoughtfully. So he's Xiaomo's nephew. He's so inferior to Xiaomo. No manners at all. As if someone owes him money. Tsuehua appreciated the young man, Mo Qishan, much more than Mo Baichuan. Young nodded in agreement. Indeed, he's so much worse than Brother Mo. Seeing Young like this, Tsuehua felt much more relieved. She was afraid Young would foolishly fancy a clueless youngster like Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan was clearly a strong machismo type, who would surely not know how to pamper his wife in the future. By the way, Young, what are you doing? Tsuehua asked again. Making a swing. Young looked up and pointed at little Yun's nose. Making a swing for our little Yun to play. Little Yun giggled when Young teased her. Auntie Hua, let me hold my little sister. Yang Guobao spread his arms out. Tsuehua carefully handed the baby over to Yang Guobao. Little sister, do you remember me? I'm your big brother Guobao. Little Yun looked at Yang Guobao, and then started to laugh loudly. Little sister, I am your big brother Gooden. Gooden joined them from the side. The two of them played with little Yun joyfully. About 2 hours later, Young finally finished the swing. Gooden, Guobao, you two come over and give it a try. Young called Gooden and Yang Guobao over. The two happily ran over, climbed on the swing, with Young pushing from behind. Wow. So high. The swing is so fun. Sister Young is so amazing. After a while, Yang Guobao and Gooden slid down from the swing, and pulled Young onto the swing. Sister Young, hold on tight. We're going to start pushing. The gentle breeze lifted her dancing black hair, creating a stunning visual against her flawless face. The feeling of swinging was quite extraordinary. When reaching the highest point, she felt as though she was soaring, turning all her worries into a swift wind by her ear. The construction workers on the second floor making the house were all shocked when they saw this scene. Especially that carpenter from before. Originally, he thought Young would need his help to make the swing. He didn't expect that Young was so capable. Chapter 333. Beautiful Rose Wall, have Western food together _6. Someone just built a swing set all by themselves. If this were in ancient times, she would definitely be considered a female general. Impressive. Really impressive. By the time she finished constructing the swing, it was already evening, and Young began to cook. The workers were not eating at their house that night, so she only needed to prepare 3 dishes and a soup. Young quickly put together the menu. One was for breast enlargement, one for slimming, and the last was a soup to reduce dark circles under the eyes. In the evening, after dinner, Tsuehua came out of her room holding her nose. Young, what was that thing you brought back from Guangguan last time? It stinks. Stinks. Young wrinkled her brows. Oh, go check. Tsuehua pointed at the big bulky thing in the corner which was covered in spikes all over. Young, look at this thing. It stinks. And Young took a look and realized it was a durian. She had brought it back, unripe, from Guangguan last time, and left it at home for a few days to ripen. The smell indicated it was now ripe. Mom, this isn't a stench, it's fragrance. And Suehua incredulously replied. It's so stinky and yet you call it fragrant? And Young explained. Mom, this is called durian, it's a fruit from the tropical region. It smells bad to some people, but it tastes nothing but delicious. Really? And Suehua was doubtful. She suspected her daughter was teasing her, but she had no evidence. And Young moved the durian to the table while smiling. It's really true. Mom, I'll cut the durian open. You go call Auntie and let her taste this exotic fruit. And Suehua replied. Invite Aunt to eat something this stinky? What if it upsets her stomach? And Suehua was obviously uneasy, having never had durian before. Because it really stinks. And Young smiled and said. I promise you'll feel different after just one bite. Doubtful but curious. And Suehua went to find Chingue with her child in her arms. After a short while, Chingue arrived. What's that smell? It's so strong. And Suehua replied. It's a durian. I told her we can't eat it, but Yang insisted it's delicious and asked me to call you over. Auntie here, try a piece of durian. And Yang handed Chingue a piece of durian. And Chingue took the durian and said delicately, this thing, it's a bit smelly. Not just a bit, it was really stinky. And Yang handed a piece to Suehua and said with a smile. The durian smells bad, but it tastes delicious. Aunt you'll find out once you take a bite. And Chingue swallowed, unable to believe what he was hearing. This thing didn't look appetizing at all. And Yang took a big bite of the white, pulpy fruit. The luscious, sweet flavor felt just like eating ice cream. No matter how times change, the taste of durian remains the same. It was a taste she missed and couldn't help sighing. It's actually really good. Is it really that good? Seeing her eating it like that, and Chingue took a small piece and put it in his mouth. The taste wasn't as bizarre as he imagined. Another bite, it was a tad sweet. Just like that, and Chingue was taking one bite after another, unknowingly polishing off the entire piece of durian. Surprised, he said to Yang. Yang, this is actually really good. The texture was really unique. Unlike any other crisp fruit, this felt soft and creamy, offering an entirely different flavor. Seeing Chingue had finished the entire piece, Suehua also decided to taste it. She suddenly discovered that the taste was actually bearable. So, the three of them ended up devouring the whole durian. It was really good, said Chingue, sitting in the chair. He then asked, Yang, how did you know this was a delicious fruit? Such a stinky fruit, anyone else wouldn't dare to try it. But Yang was different. She brings surprises every moment. Yang replied with a smile. This is a special product of Guangguan. I bought it home to try because people said it was delicious. And as it turns out, it really is. The next day, Yang took Suehua and Yin to the city. Mom, these are the new shops I bought. Yang took Suehua in front of two new shops. Suehua stood in front of the new shops with mixed feelings. Somehow, she was reminded of the days she spent with her daughter in Dam Village. Back then, she could never have imagined that one day she would live the life she was living now. Mom, let's go in and take a look. Yang led Suehua into one of the shops. The person in charge of the renovation was Wang Taienius' nephew, Zhou Dahua. Zhou Dahua was a reliable person, just like Wang Tiniu. He was very grateful to Yang for giving him this opportunity to make money. Yang, you're here, who is this? Zhou Dahua warmly greeted, Yang introduced him. Uncle Zhou, this is my mom. Mom, this is Uncle Taienius' nephew. Zhou Dahua replied. Nice to meet you, Just call me Xiaozhou. Xiaozhou, you guys have been working hard these days. Zhou Dahua replied with a smile. Not at all. You've paid us, so this is the least we could do. Yang not only paid them but also paid them 3 times the market price. Therefore, the workers were filled with energy while working. Yang took Suehua for a tour around the shop, and then they went to the physical store of ice silk fair skin in the mall. After strolling in the mall for a while and buying some spring clothes, they finally left the mall. It was already nearly 12 noon. And Young looked at Anai Tsuehua and said, "Mom, let's go eat something. We hardly get to come to the city. We should treat ourselves to something nice." Thinking of the 158 yuan they had spent on the last meal, Anai Tsuehua said with a bit of distress, "No need for something too fancy. We can just go to a shop and have some noodles. We can have noodles any day." After a thought, Anai Young decided to take Anai Tsuehua to a Western restaurant to broaden her horizons. At this time, there were already 2 Western restaurants in the city. Unlike the opulent state-run restaurant that they visited last time, the Western restaurant was stylish and elegant, and the waitstaff had a strong sense of service. The restaurant was filled with the romantic melodies of the renowned violin piece, "My Own True Love." A waiter escorted the 2 to a window table and asked, "What can I get you?" "Erase the menu." Anai Young flipped through the menu and started ordering. 2 sirloin steaks, 1 medium rare, 1 well done. A pizza, French escargot. Then 2 cups of cappuccino, and 1 cup of plain milk. "That will be all for now, thank you." Chapter 334. Teach the scum a lesson. Be the matchmaker _1. Anai Young had her steak cooked medium rare. Considering that it was Anai Kuihua's first time eating steak, and she might not be used to it, Anai Young ordered one that was well done for her. "Well done." Upon hearing this, the waiter showed contempt in his eyes. Just some country bumpkins, dressed up smartly, but that flashy exterior couldn't hide the sour stench of poverty about them. "I'm sorry, but we don't serve well-done steaks here." The impatience was escalating in the waiter's eyes. In the year or so he's been working here, had hardly encountered customers who ordered their steak well done. Even medium rares were fine. The best way to enjoy a steak was to have it rare. How come there's no well-done steak? Anai Young slightly tilted her head up, her eyes twinkling with a captivating spirit. The waiter felt somewhat oppressed, as if facing a superior. Was it an illusion? She clearly looked a few years younger than him. The waiter responded calmly, "The minimum our customers order is medium. Sorry, we truly don't serve well-done steak." Anai Young, without intending to give the waiter a hard time, spoke softly, "Would you please let your head chef know to cook my mom's steak well done? She's not used to medium rare steak." "I'm sorry." While the word sorry left the waiter's mouth, there was not a hint of remorse in his expression. "We can't make a well-done steak." Anai Young placed down the menu, slightly furrowed her brows. "You haven't conveyed the message yet. How do you know the kitchen can't prepare it? Is your steak not prepared in the kitchen?" "It is prepared in the kitchen." Anai Young ordered, "Then please ask the chef to cook my mother's steak well done." "Sorry, we can't." The waiter reiterated his previous statement. "This is a Western restaurant. Those without qualifications and can't speak English can't truly fit in." While he was merely a waiter, his salary was much higher than that of ordinary workers. He really didn't think much of Anai Tsuehua and Anai Young, regarding them as country bumpkins. Anai Young slightly furrowed her brow. "Rules are dead. People are alive. Is it so difficult to convey a message to the kitchen? In your position, do your job, fulfill your duty. Have you forgotten your responsibility? If you don't want to eat, the door's right over there." She didn't need to serve them if they didn't want to eat. Anai Young smiled faintly, opting not to stoop to the waiter's level. "I'd like to speak with your manager." The commotion quickly drew the attention of the other customers. All eyes were turned in their direction. A well-done steak was indeed rare to see. So was such a beautiful young lady. They were eager to see how Anai Young would resolve this issue. Upon hearing this, the waiter showed no signs of fear but instead smiled and said, "All right, just a moment. This is a Western restaurant after all." Barring the waitstaff, all the leaders here were from F country. They didn't speak Chinese, only speaking French. Did Anai Young plan to lodge a complaint? Could she speak French? Given her appearance, she probably couldn't even recognize all 26 English alphabets. If Anai Young called the manager, she would only end up embarrassing herself. The waiter had seen too many people from his country embarrassed by their lack of French skills while communicating with their superiors. Thinking about this, the waiter was filled with disdain. Sure enough, A muscular man with blonde hair and blue eyes soon came over with the waiter. "Hello." The manager respectfully bowed, speaking in fluent French. Seeing the blonde, blue-eyed manager, the crowd couldn't wait to witness the drama that was about to unfold. "Oh, he's from F country." The young lady was going to fall flat on her face this time. Youths are too impulsive, always demanding to see managers when things don't go their way. If they can't make a well-done steak, just leave. Why make it so awkward? Na Young didn't anticipate a foreigner from F country to show up, and was momentarily startled. The waiter's dismissive look became even more evident. He immediately spoke. "Manager, raise the deal. This customer is causing trouble, wanting to dine and dash." Relying on the fact that Na Young and the other customers didn't understand French, he started painting Na Young as a brazen customer seeking a free meal. At a nearby table, a middle-aged man elegantly sliced a piece of steak and said to a young man across from him, "Xiaoxiu, please help that lady out." Chapter 335. Teach Scum a lesson. Act as a matchmaker _2. Everyone here is Chinese. He can't bear to see compatriots treating their fellow citizens in such a manner. Just because they can speak some French, now it seems they have even forgotten their own last name. "Okay, Dad." The young man nodded, picked up a napkin to wipe his mouth, and got up to walk towards Na Yang. This young man was none other than Shang Guansu, who had had several encounters with Na Yang. Na Yang had helped him once before, and now he could return the favor. Just then, a fluent French voice resonated in the air. It was quite pure, pronounced very standardly, as delightful as an April breeze on earth. Shang Guansu looked up. The person seemed to be covered with a layer of gold, dazzling to the extreme. This time, not only was Shang Guansu stunned, but the surrounding diners were also amazed. This young girl was so impressive. Even though they didn't understand French, they could feel it. This feeling was awe-inspiring. "This is what happened. Can your restaurant not make a steak medium well?" asked Na Yang, her tone indifferent yet intimidating. The waiter's face turned pale. She couldn't believe it. Such fluent French came from the mouth of a country bumpkin. How could this be? If Na Yang could speak French, what did that make her? A joke? After understanding what happened, the restaurant manager bowed, saying respectfully, "We are extremely sorry for the unpleasant dining experience. I will arrange for your steak to be prepared. Our customers are our benefactors. Whether you want a medium-well steak, or even a well-done steak, we will follow your instructions. Also, all your meal orders today will be on us." The restaurant manager's attitude showed a lot of sincerity. Na Yang replied, "It's not necessary to waive the bill, just make one of the steak medium well." Na Yang wasn't the type that wanted to take advantage of situations. All she wanted was a positive attitude and a proper result. "All right, please wait a moment." As soon as he finished speaking, the restaurant manager turned his gaze to the waitress. "You will no longer be working here from now on." "Manager, I was wrong. I will never dare to do it again." The waitress was sweating profusely. How could she lose this job? She was earning 100 yuan monthly at this place. Where could she get a job that would pay her 100 yuan a month? The waiter hurriedly apologized to Na Yang. "I'm so sorry. It was unintentional. I beg you to forgive me. Please give me another chance. I truly do not want to lose this job." Na Yang smiled faintly. "Sorry, I'm just a customer. The decision to keep you or not lies with your superior, and this is beyond my control. If it had been someone else who didn't understand French, they would have been cheated today." Na Yang isn't a saint. In her book, she only repays kindness with kindness and pay back hostility with hostility. She does not repay hostility with kindness. People must always pay a price for their words and actions. Hearing her words, the waitress' mind went blank and she stumbled out of the restaurant, escorted by others. Shang Guansu returned to his own seat, but the surprise on his face had not completely faded. How should he put it? He really hadn't expected that Na Yang could speak French, and she did it so well too. Shang Guanzu's father, Shang Guandahue, also had an admiring look in his eyes. This young girl really was an exceptional talent. Indeed, one should never judge a book by its cover. Now they could see there are really talented and beautiful people in this world. Looking at Young in surprise, Tsuehua was dumbfounded because she never knew that Young could speak another country's language. Yang, you just... Young squeezed Quihua's hand. Mom, what I just spoke was French. Do you remember the educated youth named Nguye from our village? Yes, I do. Tsuehua nodded. Young continued. My French was taught by Nguye. Indeed, there was once an educated youth named Nguye in Dam village who had taught Yang some basic French phrases. So Yang's statement wasn't wrong. Oh, I see. Tsuehua said with an understanding look in her eyes. Yang nodded. Soon, all the dishes were served. Yang picked up the pure milk for little Yin to drink. Seeing the milk, little Yin burst into a happy laugh. Faced with the exquisite Western meal, Tsuehua seemed a bit at a loss. Chapter 336. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _3. Yang, why aren't there any chopsticks? Yang laughed and said, Mom, this is Western cuisine. Western meals are eaten with a fork and knife. Look at me. I hold the fork in my left hand, and the knife in my right hand. As she spoke, Yang elegantly cut off a piece of the steak, speared it with her fork and put it in her mouth. Wait. Tsuehua interrupted in surprise. What's this, Mom? Yang asked, turning her gaze to Tsuehua in confusion. Yang, this meat is not cooked. There's still blood dripping from it. They should take it back quickly and cook it thoroughly. Yang smiled slightly and explained. This is what a medium-rare steak looks like. It's tender and juicy, and it tastes great. Tsuehua expressed her confusion. How can you eat the beef that isn't fully cooked? What if it got you sick? What if you catch mad cow disease? Yang responded. Mom, that's a misconception. In fact, a medium-rare steak is not only edible, but also much more flavorful and nutritious than fully cooked beef. It's like the durian we had last night. It doesn't look appetizing, but it tastes wonderful. Tsuehua frowned slightly. Really? Yang continued to encourage her. Why would I deceive you? Mom, try the steak on your dish. Tsuehua was hesitant. No matter what, she still can't accept raw bloody meat. The very sight of it made her skin crawl. Yang reassured her. Mom, don't worry. What I ordered for you is medium well. It won't be bleeding. Tsuehua finally relaxed, picked up the knife and fork, and began to cut the steak as she had seen Yang do it. Yang had made it look straightforward while cutting, but when Tsuehua tried it, the utensils seemed to have become dulled. Yang got up with a chuckle, went to Quihua's side, slightly leaned over, and gently guided her hand to teach her how to operate the knife and fork. Mom, like this, and then this. After a moment, the entire steak was cut into nice little pieces. Tsuehua stabbed a piece of beef and put it in her mouth. The beef was sprinkled with lemon juice and black pepper, so it didn't have a gamey taste, and it was neither tough nor chewy. The taste was indeed way better than that of the soy sauce beef and braised beef she was used to. Yang handed her a piece of steak from her dish. Mom, now try this medium-rare piece. Tsuehua hesitantly accepted it, closed her eyes and slowly chewed it in her mouth. The taste. It wasn't bad at all, just like what Yang had described. The texture was excellent, tender and juicy, and it was delightfully bouncy when she bit into it. Even though it tasted great, Tsuehua still preferred the medium well-done beef. The idea of eating raw meat was a mental block she still hadn't been able to get over. Seeing Quihua's reaction, Yang didn't force her, and continued to teach her how to eat escargot. In Western cuisine, there's a particular way to eat escargot too. Like common people eating river snails, they can get the meat out in one slurp. But for eating escargot, there are special tools involved. Looking at the 6 big escargots in the dish, Tsuehua expressed her astonishment. Yang, why are these river snails white? It's not that Tsuehua hasn't seen escargot before. But these escargots were so big and unlike the ones she had seen in the fields, she mistook them for river snails. Yang explained. Mom, these are escargot. Hearing this, Tsuehua was completely floored. Escargot. Escargot is the term used in the local dialect for snails. Yang nodded. Yes, escargot. But don't worry, Mom, these are not like the wild snails. These are edible ones and their English name is Helix pomatia. Can escargots be eaten as well? Enai Tsuehua conveyed her doubt. Foreigners are too strange. They eat things no one else does. Eating the raw meat that was still bloody seemed bad enough, but now even escargots are being thrown in the mix. How frightening. Enai Yang expertly chose a piece of escargot and handed it to Enai Tsuehua. Mom, give this a try. Enai Tsuehua repeatedly refused. No, no. In the countryside, even ducks don't eat escargot. Enai Yang laughed. Mom, do you know how much each of these escargots cost? If you don't eat them, there's no way I can eat all 6 by myself. How much? Enai Yang said. 28 yuan each. What? 28 yuan each? Enai Tsuehua looked incredulously. Enai Yang nodded. Then this whole dish would be 168 yuan. Enai Yang continued to nod her head. We only spent 158 yuan for dinner at the state-owned restaurant last time. But now a plate of escargot meat costs 168 yuan. It's just too expensive. Chapter 337. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _4. Enai Tsuehua reluctantly accepted the escargot, closing her eyes as she ate it. As she ate, Enai Tsuehua suddenly realized that expensive food indeed had its worth. This foreign escargot tasted even better than the river snails. While indulging in French escargot and rich, aromatic cappuccino with a violin playing gracefully in the background, Enai Yang experienced relaxation like never before. When the pizza was delivered, Enai Tsuehua thought it was a pancake. Enai Yang laughed as she explained it was pizza. Enai Tsuehua uttered astonishment at her own lack of knowledge. Enai Yang said, Mom, Western food has just started to penetrate our domestic market. There are only 2 places in Beijing that serve it. It's quite normal for you not to know. Knowledge grows gradually. One can't grow fat with a single gulp. Not only does Beijing have Western food, but also Japanese food. Enai Yang thought about it, and decided to take Enai Tsuehua to try Japanese food during their next trip to the city. After dinner, as they were leaving the restaurant, Enai Yang noticed a movie theater's poster. The large poster advertised 4 big characters. The Shaolin Kid. Mom, let's go watch a movie, Enai Yang suggested, turning her gaze towards Enai Tsuehua. Enai Tsuehua instinctively declined. It's getting late, let's go home. Enai Yang, arm in arm with Enai Tsuehua, urged. Come on, Mom. One movie ticket costs only 30 cents. To the former Enai Tsuehua, 30 cents was a considerable sum. It could even be called a fortune. But for Enai Tsuehua now, it was nothing compared to the 168 yuan they just spent on a plate of French escargot. All right, let's go. Enai Tsuehua agreed, laughing. Enai Yang went to buy 2 movie tickets. The cinema was large, but not many people were inside. Half of them were couples who came together. Little Enai Yin was very understanding, completely quiet throughout the movie, attentively watching the big screen as if she understood everything happening. The shooting location of the Shaolin Kid was Guilin. The scenery was very beautiful. Watching the scene of the pig cage dunking, Enai Tsuehua couldn't help but tear up. Luckily, only that scene was sentimental. The rest of the movie was comparably breezy and humorous. Watching the movie was refreshing both mentally and physically. After the movie, Enai Yang took Enai Tsuehua to the flower market where they bought some peach, apple and pear saplings. As they passed a funeral supply store, Enai Tsuehua said, Yang, wait outside with Yunian. All right. Enai Yang nodded, reaching out to carry little Enai Yin. Enai Tsuehua turned and went into the funeral supply store. When she came out again, she had an additional large bag in her hand. Once they were home, Enai Tsuehua opened the bag. Inside were some paper ingots and spirit money, along with 5 blank spirit tablets. Then Enai Tsuehua continued, Yang, the Qingming festival is coming soon. We should set up the spirit tablets for your grandparents and the 3 sisters. On the day of the festival, we will burn more paper money for them. Though Enai Tsuehua was fully aware that she was an abandoned child, she was still raised by her adoptive parents. It was only right to set up spirit tablets. This was the first time Enai Tsuehua spoke to Enai Yang about the 3 abandoned siblings. Enai Yang responded, Mom, are you sure I lost all 3 sisters? Even in the countryside, not every abandoned child left in the wilderness dies. They might not have all passed away. At that time, Young was too young and naive to know where exactly the 3 sisters were abandoned. If they weren't abandoned on the back mountain, there might be a chance that they survived. Quihua's eyes immediately turned red. She choked out the words. After your 2nd, 3rd and 4th sisters were discarded, I also secretly searched in the back mountain, but I couldn't find them anywhere. There are so many wolves on the back mountain. Those were 3 unfortunate children born to her, their useless mother. Tsuehua usually only let her tears flow late at night when everyone else was asleep. But today she couldn't hold back. As a mother, every time she thought of her 3 unfortunate daughters, her heart ached unbearably. After all, they were her flesh and blood. Young responded. Perhaps they weren't abandoned on the back mountain at all. Mom, don't be so pessimistic. For all you know, my 3 sisters might still be alive. Alive? Upon hearing this, Tsuehua seemed to glimpse at redemption. Could they really be alive? She didn't know. Tsuehua said. If your 2nd sister is still alive, she would be 17 this year. The 3rd sister would be 16, and the youngest, the 4th sister, would just turn 12. Tsuehua clearly remembered their birth dates. Chapter 338. Teach the scum a lesson. Be the matchmaker _5. She only despised herself for being too weak, for failing to protect her own children. She let them be born unwanted by anyone. Young said, Mom, don't be upset. Our 3 younger sisters, they have their own luck. They'll be fine. Perhaps we'll even find them in the future. Tsuehua wiped away her tears. I no longer hope to find them. All I wish for is their well-being in this world. Mom, rest assured, our 3 sisters must still be alive. They are all living well. Young embraced Tsuehua. Tsuehua sobbed uncontrollably. It started to drizzle on tomb sweeping day. The weather was a tad chilly. The mood matched that poem. During tomb sweeping day, rain trickles down. Travelers on the road are filled with sorrow. Young pulled out a coat from the cupboard to wear again, and followed Tsuehua outside to burn paper money. Because Tsuehua believed her 3 daughters were still alive, she did not prepare spirit tablets for them. She only honored the spirit tablets of her foster parents. Days flew by. In a blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The 2 shops in the city were already renovated. All that's left was for Young to pick a day to open. Young chose the 6th day of May. There were still 5 days left before the opening. New shops meant hiring new employees. According to the 3 people per shop standard, Young still needed to recruit 6 more people. Naturally, these 6 people would be from the village. Young offered high salaries, so the women in the village were all willing to help Young. New employees needed to familiarize themselves with the work environment early on. So Young took them to the milk tea shop and noodle restaurant to help out the very next day. After working for 3 days, the 6 people had all become familiar with their job. Young then led them to the new shop to prepare for its opening. These 6 people were Lu Chuanfen, Zhao Hui, Lu Chui, Wang Ruyu, Sun Xiaoyu, Wang Dongji. They were all honest and humble people who were grateful to Young. Therefore, Young felt secure leaving the shop in their hands. The day before the opening, Young bought some braised meat for everyone to take home. Everyone took their meat home, while Young stayed in the shop to deal with some minor details. Young, is your shop really opening the day after tomorrow? Zhou Xiaolian, the neighboring shop owner's wife, came over to join the fun. Young was always enthusiastic and knew how to get along with people. During the renovation, she offered everyone bread and milk tea in consideration of the noise disturbance. This goodwill left everyone with a good impression of her. Young nodded. Yes, ma'am. Zhou Xiaolian continued. Young, you've prepared so many noodles and milk tea. Aren't you afraid you won't get enough customers tomorrow? I don't mean to sound negative, but this shop is rather tricky. Young laughed. Ma'am, I'm confident that I'll be able to sell everything. After all, Young didn't believe in the whole feng shui thing. If it really had to do with feng shui, wouldn't all the shops in this row have to close down? Yet, she saw other shops doing quite well. Moreover, Young had spent 3 days doing promotions at the old shop. Young wasn't worried about her business at all. After all, the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop had already built a substantial reputation in the city's food industry over the past half a year. Several imitators had already emerged in the city, yet none of them could match the taste provided here at Yang's. Therefore, everyone preferred to come to Yang's. Zhou Xiaolian gave Young a look. Yang, you're still too young. There are things you have to believe in. Why don't you burn some things at the front of the shop to ward off evil? Otherwise, I'm really worried. If there weren't problems with the feng shui of these 2 shops, how is it possible that 3 shops opened in a row and all had to close down? Ma'am, Young continued. I appreciate your kindness, I'll consider it when I get home. Zhou Xiaolian added. Yang, don't blame me for not warning you if you fail to get any business. Then Zhou Xiaolian changed the topic. By the way, Yang, the person who came with you last time, was that your mother? The one who was also holding a baby? Yes, that's my mother, Young nodded. Zhou Xiaolian thought about how to phrase the next sentence. Yang, what I'm about to say next might be a bit blunt, but I hope you won't take offense. Ma'am, just say what you have to say. Zhou Xiaolian hesitated. Young poured Zhou Xiaolian a glass of water. Why don't we sit down and talk? Chapter 339. Teach the scum a lesson. Be the matchmaker _6. Zhou Xiaolian took a sip of water and sat face to face with Young at the dining table, feeling less nervous. Then she continued. I've heard that your mother divorced. Is she currently single? Yang's expression changed slightly. Worried that Young might misunderstand something, Zhou Xiaolian hurriedly added. Yang, don't worry, I don't mean anything else. I just think it's a pity for your young mother to remain single. Society has changed now, and there are many women who remarry. Auntie, what are you implying? Zhou Xiaolian took another big gulp of water. Yang, let me be straight with you. I have a single man in my family, my cousin. His wife passed away due to complications during childbirth. He has been alone for so many years since then, so I was thinking. Then it dawned on Young what Zhou Xiaolian was there for. Zhou Xiaolian was proposing a marriage match for her mother, Cuihua. As she concluded, Zhou Xiaolian continued. Yang, you're a sensible child. You wouldn't mind if your mother found a new partner, right? In fact, finding a new partner is a great idea. Wouldn't it be nice to have an extra person who cares about you in the future? My cousin is a handsome man with good character, currently the manager of a state-owned restaurant. If they were to get married, he would certainly treat you and your little sister as his own daughters. Zhou Xiaolian had seen Cuihua in person once before. Despite having 2 children, Cuihua still maintained her beautiful looks and youthful charm. She was extremely pretty. Even though the family's status was not high and they were self-employed, the 2 shops run by Yang were profitable. If Cuihua married her brother in the future, all these would become the Zhou family's assets. Therefore, Cuihua was just about a suitable match for her brother. Her brother, not only handsome, also worked at a state-owned enterprise. So many fine young ladies want to marry him. It was Cuihua's luck that he took interest in her. Yang replied, Auntie Zhou, this matter isn't up to me, it depends on what my mother thinks. Zhou Xiaolian laughed. Just as long as you aren't opposed to your mother finding a partner, then I can rest assured. How about you choose a date for my cousin to meet your mother? Just a harmless meeting. Whatever happens after doesn't matter and wouldn't affect anything. Yang replied, Auntie, I need to discuss this matter with my mother when I get home. If she agrees, then I have no objections. Very good, very good. Zhou Xiaolian stood up laughing. That's settled then, Yang, when you get home, you must discuss it with your mother. It's not easy for a woman with 2 children to be out there on her own. Without a man to make decisions, you will get bullied in the village. Once your mother and my brother's matter is settled, you can move from the countryside to my brother's townhouse in the city. At that point, we'll all be family. According to our relationship, you should call me aunt. Evidently, Zhou Xiaolian was becoming happy prematurely, before anything was settled, because she thought, it is Cuihua who would be marrying up by marrying her brother. After all, Anai Tsuehua lacks education and carries two burdens, whereas her brother not only completed junior high school, but is also a manager. Only a fool would refuse such an offer. Everything Zhou Xiaolian said carried a sense of superiority, which made Anai Yang feel uncomfortable. Even before Anai Tsuehua married into their family, Zhou Xiaolian was already behaving like this. If the marriage happens, life wouldn't likely be any easier. Not only was Anai Yang not opposed to Anai Tsuehua finding a new partner, she wished for her mother's happiness above all else. An ideal marriage is built on mutual respect. Clearly, Zhou Xiaolian's brother could not offer this kind of respect. Anai Yang frowned unnoticeably. Auntie, you've been overthinking this. The people in our village are all very kind and united, and they take good care of our family. No one in the village will bully us. Zhou Xiaolian warned earnestly. Yang, you need to be cautious then. Those who don't have a relationship with you but treat you guys so well must be after something. Out of the blue, they could be treating Anai Yang and her mother so nicely? After all, Anai Yang's noodle restaurant and milk tea shop have made a lot of money. Anai Yang responded matter-of-factly, "Thank you for your concern, Auntie, but I am capable of discerning right from wrong." Unhappy at the response, Zhou Xiaolian felt somewhat annoyed. She believed Anai Yang was being ungrateful. Anai Yang had this kind of attitude when she was trying to help her in good faith. If it were not for the money that will soon be owned by her brother, she would not bother to give advice. Forget it. Why should she bother about a junior's matters? Perhaps it was unintentional from Anai Yang. With an unchanged smile on her face, Zhou Xiaolian continued. Yang, then let's leave it at that. Do remember to tell your mother when you go home. I will head back now. Anai Yang stood up to see her out. Goodbye, Auntie. After leaving the noodle restaurant, Anai Yang made a trip to the vegetable market. Sister. This time, Anai Yang met the little flower girl from half a month ago again. No noticeable changes in the little girl after half a month. Even her clothes remained unchanged. Her face was dirty, but her big eyes were still sparkling clear. Sister, are you going to buy flowers today? Anai Yang squatted down to be at the girl's height. Little sister, how old are you this year? 12. Qian Zhaodi replied. 12. For some reason, Anai Yang suddenly remembered her abandoned fourth sister. If the fourth sister was still around, she would be 12 this year too. Anai Yang asked, Where are your parents? Qian Zhaodi responded, They are at home. Do you have any sisters or brothers? Qian Zhaodi shook her head. No sisters, just one younger brother. Anai Yang asked again, Does your brother sell flowers too? No. Qian Zhaodi continued to shake her head. My parents both love my brother a lot. They often hit me. If I don't sell these flowers, they might kill me. Sister, please buy one, please. Looking at Qian Zhaodi, Anai Yang suddenly felt like crying. She felt a pang in her nose. It's because she relates too well to the powerless feeling of being born into a family that favors sons over daughters. In her previous life and this life's sisters, they have all suffered from this bias. How many flowers do you have left? I'll buy them all. Really? Qian Zhaodi's eyes lit up. Yes. Qian Zhaodi continued. Sister, I've got 30 flowers left. Anai Yang took out 5 yuan and handed it to Qian Zhaodi. Hey, raise 5 yuan, no need to give me any change. From now on, you can wait for me here every night. So sister, you will buy my flowers every night? Anai Yang nodded, then asked, What happened to your face? Qian Zhaodi replied nonchalantly, My brother poured boiling water on it. Chapter 340. Grand Opening. Li Yanren's invitation _1 burned by boiling water? Upon hearing this, Anai Yang's heart clenched tightly. What kind of family would allow their son to scald their daughter's face? Did it hurt? Anai Yang asked. Qian Zhaodi shook her head. It hurt at first, but then it stopped. She had suffered so much at such a young age. This pain was nothing in comparison. Anai Yang let out a soft sigh and handed her the braised pork she had just bought. Take this. The aroma of the braised pork seemed to permeate into Qian Zhaodi's nostrils as she gulped. Sister, is this meat? Anai Yang nodded. Yes, it's meat. Sister, are you giving me all this meat? Qian Zhaodi asked, somewhat uncertain. Thank you, sister. A smile bloomed at the corner of Qian Zhaoda's mouth. Don't mention it. And Yang reached out to caress her head. By the way, little sister, what's your name? My name is Qian Zhaodi. Qian Zhaodi. Just from her name, one could tell how much her parents devalued girls in favor of boys. Sister, what's your name? Qian Zhaodi then asked. My name is Yang. Qian Zhaodi smiled and said, Sister, your name is really beautiful. Thank you. And Yang continued, Little sister, do you go to school? No. Qian Zhaodi shook her head. But even though I've never been to school, I know a lot of characters and I can even write my name. There was a primary school in the village and Qian Zhaodi would always sneak up to the windows to listen to the teacher's lectures. The children in the classroom would be absent-minded, but Qian Zhaodi was thirsting for knowledge. Seeing that it was getting late, Qian Zhaodi continued, Sister, thank you for the pork. I have to go home now. I'll wait for you here again tomorrow night. Go ahead. And Yang waved to her. Be careful on the road. Returning to her secret hideout, Qian Zhaodi pulled out the money hidden in the gaps between the bricks and started counting. Adding the 5 yuan that Yang just gave her, her total savings now amounted to 10 yuan and 3 cents. She had already checked. It cost 28 yuan for a train ticket to the neighboring city. She was still 18 yuan short. On top of that, she would need to live in the neighboring city. By her calculations, she would need at least 100 yuan. She was still far from her goal. Thinking about this, Qian Zhaodi let out a sigh, put the money away, left her hideout, sat at the entrance of the alley, and began to devour the braised pork that Yang had given her. Never in her life had Qian Zhaodi felt so satisfied eating meat. She was rarely even afforded basic porridge or rice. Just then a happy family of 4 passed by, chatting and laughing. Watching them, her eyes welled up with tears. If she could, she too would like to have a pair of kind parents, a cute little brother. They wouldn't even have to treat her well, just as long as they didn't hit or scold her like a normal family. What a pity. This wish would never come true in this lifetime. After eating, she wiped her mouth and limped her way home. After going on home, Yang found a bottle to house the camellia, placed it on the coffee table in the living room. The radiant camellia formed a beautiful vista in the living room, filling the air with a faint fragrance. It smelled marvelous. Having finished that, Yang started cooking with Tsuehua tending the fire under the stove. Little Yan was busy playing in a baby carrier, very well behaved. Mom. What's the matter? Choosing her words carefully, Yang continued. Mom, have you ever thought about finding an uncle for Yun and me? Zhou Xiaolian's words from earlier had reminded Yang of something. Tsuehua was only 37, her life ahead still vast. She couldn't remain single forever. The company of her children and a partner were different. Tsuehua was taken aback at first, then said, What are you talking about, child? Your mom's old. If someone heard us, wouldn't it be a joke? Remarriage was something Tsuehua dare not even think about. Yang said, Mom, you're only 37, not 67 or 77. Remarrying is completely normal, right? Don't worry, I'm understanding. I'm not an unreasonable child. At this point, Yang changed her tone and said seriously, Mom, I genuinely hope you can find happiness. Chapter 341. Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _2. At the sound of this, Tsuehua fell momentarily silent. She was fortunate to have such a thoughtful daughter. In other families, when one parent is gone, it's typically hard for children to accept the prospect of a parent remarrying, because they often fear that a stepfather or stepmother may not treat them well. Yet, Yang seemed completely indifferent to this, and even voluntarily brought up the matter. Tsuehua continued, Yang, Mom appreciates your concern, but I really haven't given any thought to these things. Your younger sister is still little. Let's revisit this topic when she's a bit older. Yang's career was currently flourishing, and little Yan was only 9 months old. Tsuehua genuinely had no energy to contemplate such messy matters. She should make the most of her opportunity to assist Yang. How could she pursue romance when her daughter is busy and working so hard? Yang added, Mom, Aunt Zhou Xiaoyan mentioned to me today that she has a single brother. From what she said, he seems not bad. Would you like to meet him? Though N.I. Yang had some reservations about Zhou Xiaolian's brother, she felt it was nevertheless necessary to discuss this with N.I. Tsuehua. After all, it would be up to N.I. Tsuehua to pick her partner. No need. N.I. Tsuehua refused without hesitation. N.I. Yang gave a nod. Okay, I respect your decision. In fact, I also think Zhou Xiaolian's brother doesn't quite seem right. When we encounter an outstanding middle-aged man in the future, I'll definitely keep my eyes open for you. Mom, you should keep your spirits up. Upon hearing this, a momentary blush darted across N.I. Quihua's face. What are you saying, you silly girl? Not long after, N.I. Yang finished cooking 4 dishes. The main course for the night was green bean and lotus leaf porridge. Modern medical research has shown that lotus leaves have beneficial properties such as lowering blood pressure, reducing blood lipids, relieving heat, suppressing bacteria, relieving spasms, and reducing fat. The combination of lotus leaves and green beans is particularly effective for weight loss and body sculpting. It's not sufficient to focus solely on breast enlargement. One needs to attain a perfect body proportion. N.I. Yang currently has a great body proportion, and she needs to maintain it. The side dish was mapo tofu. She heated the rapeseed oil, added scallion, ginger, and garlic until fragrant, then added bean paste until the oil turned red. Next, she added spicy hot capsicum, Sichuan pepper, and chili powder. Finally, she tossed in tofu that had been blanched in boiling water. In no time, a mouth-watering aroma of spicy and numbing mapo tofu filled the room. The spicy and numbing sensation was irresistible. With this bowl of mapo tofu, one could consume several bowls of green bean and lotus leaf porridge. Furthermore, tofu has the property of boosting metabolism, which can contribute to longevity. Next, she prepared sautéed lamb liver with eel. Eel contains components such as vitamin A and lecithin, all of which are beneficial to hormonal secretion and essential for breast development. Therefore, during puberty, it's crucial for girls to consume more eel to achieve breast enlargement. Winter melon stew with blackfish. The combination of blackfish and winter melon has great blood circulation promoting and liver and kidney nourishing effects, making it a particularly beneficial dish for women. The final side dish was spicy pickled cowpeas. For dinner, there were 3 stir-fry dishes and a pickled dish, which made for a highly satisfying meal for the 3 of them. The next day, just as N.I. Yang arrived at her shop, Zhou Xiaolian showed up. Yang, did you tell your mom about what we discussed yesterday? I did. N.I. Yang replied honestly, but my mom isn't currently considering anything in that regard. Auntie, thank you for your kindness, but it seems that there's no destined connection between your brother and my mom. Was this a rejection? Zhou Xiaolian looked at N.I. Yang, somewhat incredulous. With such great prospects, how could N.I. Yang refuse her brother? Could it be that N.I. Yang felt superior because she owned a few shops and looked down on her brother? What did ownership of a few shops amount to? A petty proprietor could never compare to her brother, who was a high-ranking official. Or could it be that N.I. Yang didn't tell N.I. Tsuehua about this at all? Yes, that must be it. This seemingly sensible girl was far more cunning than she appeared. Afraid that her mother might treat her badly after getting married, she decided to deceive them all. With a smile remaining on her face, Zhou Xiaolian said, "All right, I understand. I'll be heading back then. Take care, Auntie." The moment Zhou Xiaolian returned to her shop, her husband Li Yinsheng came out to meet her. How did it go? Did you arrange everything? Zhou Xiaolian shook her head. Li Yinsheng said, I told you earlier, don't harbor unrealistic hopes. With the income her shop brings in each month, do you think she would consider your brother? With that, Li Yinsheng showed 2 fingers to signify a monetary amount. Chapter 342. Grand Opening Li Yanren's Invitation _3. Zhou Xiaolian continued. It's not an issue with the women per se, but entirely with that girl N.I. Yang. I believe N.I. Yang hasn't even talked to her mother about this. Plus, I wouldn't introduce her to my brother if she couldn't earn some money in a month. Besides considering her elder brother's interest, Zhou Xiaolian had her own ulterior motives. After all, everyone is inherently selfish. She coveted Ai Yang's recipe. The recipe for pickled fish noodles and milk tea. Once her brother marries Ai Tsuehua, she and Ai Yang would become part of the same family, and naturally, there would be no secrets. Once she has the recipes for pickled fish and milk tea, she would just need to sit at home and collect money. All right, enough with the nonsense. Li Yinsheng said impatiently. Your brother isn't lacking in potential brides. Why are you so concerned for him? I'm his sister. How can I not worry? Zhou Xiaoyan glared at Li Yinsheng. I need to go to my mother. And you stay here and look after the shop. Li Yinsheng could only shake his head helplessly. Zhou Xiaoyan went straight back to her parents' house. Her family was well off. Both her parents were retired directors of a factory. Although her only brother was devoid of a wife, he had a good job, a dependable livelihood, a high salary, and often had some extra perks. This was why so many eligible women were willing to marry him. After hearing Zhou Xiaolian's plan, her mother, Ji Muden, fussed. What kind of joke is this? There are so many young ladies ready to marry your brother, and he doesn't need them. You're introducing a widow with 2 children to him. Xiaolian, don't you care about your brother anymore? Given that her son was accomplished, Ji Muden, as a mother, felt proud. Moreover, they came from a family of salaried employees. How could they marry a self-employed woman? Zhou Xiaolian smiled and said, Mom, don't look down on self-employed people. The woman I want to introduce to my brother owns 4 shops. She earns at least 20,000 yuan a month. When combined, your dad's and brother's income is still less than what she earns in a month, isn't it? 20,000. That's over 200,000 a year. Ji Muden was a bit shocked but still retorted. What does it matter how much money she earns? Our family doesn't lack money. While the Zhou family was not immensely rich, they were not short of money either. Zhou Xiaolian continued. With more money, future kids could study abroad. We could move to a bigger house, hire a few nannies to serve you. Doesn't that sound good? Ji Muden seemed slightly tempted at this. What you said seems somewhat reasonable. What does this woman look like? Zhou Xiaolian responded. Her looks leave nothing to be desired. How about you come with me tomorrow and see for yourself? All right. Ji Muden nodded. Even though Ai Yang had already declined this meeting, Zhou Xiaolian still wouldn't give up. Ai Yang's noodle restaurant and milk tea shop would open tomorrow, and Ai Tsuehua, her mother, would certainly appear. By then, they would definitely see Ai Tsuehua. Zhou Xiaolian felt that as long as she could convince Ji Muden, her acquiescent brother, who always listened to his mother's words, wouldn't be a problem. As for Ai Tsuehua, she saw no obstacle there. With her brother's great conditions, only a fool would object. She didn't think Ai Tsuehua was a fool. After settling things with Ji Muden, Zhou Xiaolian returned home satisfied. The next day, Ai Yang went to the noodle restaurant early in the morning. Just as she arrived, she saw workers laying out red carpets and arranging flowers in front of the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop. Could it be that Mo Qishan had returned? Ai Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Other than Mo Qishan, no one else would give her these things. Just as she thought this, Wu Daming ran over from the side. Sister Yan, oh no. Sister-in-law, you're here. Wu Daming. Ai Yang looked at the man in surprise. Wu Daming said, Sister-in-law, my 6th bro isn't in the country, so he couldn't come here in person. He asked me to bring these things. 6th sister-in-law? This address made Ai Yang's cheeks flush slightly. You have to admit, Mo Qishan really is a qualified boyfriend. Thank you. By the way, when will brother Mo probably return? If you calculate, Mo Qishan has been out for about a month now. Wu Daming, the straight man, directly replied, Sister-in-law, do you miss my 6th bro? Ai Yang. How should she respond to that? Wu Daming continued, also sister-in-law, I've received the sterile equipment you asked about last time. When do you want it? Chapter 343. Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _4. At this time, all of the sterile equipment was imported from abroad. Ai Yang didn't expect Wu Daming would get the goods in such a short period of time. That was quite a feat. Ai Yang thought for a moment and then said, probably around June or July. Can you temporarily store it on your end? Sure, of course. My place is big enough. Wu Daming quickly nodded and casually glanced at his wristwatch. Sister-in-law, I will have it delivered to you at the end of June. If he dared to say it was inconvenient, Mo Qishan would definitely give him a taste of hell when he got back. And Yang nodded. Then he'll have to trouble you. By the way, how much does this equipment cost? No trouble at all, not at all. It's an honor for me to be of service to you, sis-in-law. This set of equipment costs a total of 2,000 yuan. All right. Wu Daming then said, Sis-in-law, while my brother isn't in Beijing, if you encounter any trouble, you can contact me at any time. Here is my number. After he said that, Wu Daming gave Yang a small note. All right, thank you. Wu Daming looked at his watch and said, We're all family here, sis-in-law. You don't have to be so polite with me. If nothing else, I should go now. Mo Qishan had made it clear, under any non-urgent circumstances, he was not to spend more than 15 minutes with Yang. It's already been 12 minutes, he should make his leave. Just as Wu Daming left, Li Yanran, who was holding 2 paintings, came over. Yang. In a few days it was the grand opening of Yang's branch. As her good friend, she naturally had to come and show support. Yanran. Yang, Li Yanran handed Yang a gold-framed painting. I'm gifting you this 4 seasons of prosperity. May your business prosper and bring you wealthy profits. Yang accepted it. Thank you, Yanran. Li Yanran said with a smile. We're good friends, so don't mention it. Let's go hang it in the shop. All right. Yang nodded, leading Li Yanran inside. Li Yanran looked at the decor of the milk tea shop. All admiration was on her face. Yang, your milk tea shop is beautifully decorated. The entrance was made of glass, wooden flooring. Each table had some small green plants decorating it. It looked entirely fresh and natural, inexplicably improving one's mood and giving off a foreign vibe. Needless to say, Yang really did have a touch of grace. Yang placed a cup of milk tea in front of Li Yanran, smiling. Thank you for the compliment. Li Yanran took a big sip of the milk tea and then said, This Saturday, I'm hosting a party at my place. I'd like to invite you to join. Sure. Yang nodded without hesitation. Given Li Yanran's treatment of her as a friend, she naturally wouldn't decline her friend's kind invitation. Great. Li Yanran held her milk tea in one hand and clung to Yang's arm with the other. Remember to come, okay? Yang smiled and said, Don't worry, Yanran, I always keep my promises. Li Yanran continued. Then I'll wait for you at home this Saturday. Originally, Li Yanran wanted to remind Yang to dress up a bit, but after thinking about it, with Yang's natural beauty, she wouldn't even need to. She would be the most dazzling presence regardless. At 6 in the morning, coupled with the sound of firecrackers, the milk tea shop and noodle restaurant officially opened. The merchants who were prepared to watch the hype were all startled. The milk tea shop and noodle restaurant Yang ran, contrary to expectations, were not deserted but quite busy instead. They even had a customer queue. What happened to the anticipated bad feng shui for these 2 businesses? Where was the guarantee that these 2 shops would shut down after Yang took over? An elder who had previously advised Yang against buying the 2 shops, holding on to his crutch, said, This is weird. I've lived a whole life, have never seen such an odd thing. Could it really be that this young girl's life is harder than the heavens decree? Even feng shui couldn't impact her? Zhou Xiaolian and Ji Mudan also stood within the curious crowd. Ji Mudan impatiently said, We've been standing here for so long. Which one is that widow you spoke of? Zhou Xiaolian looked at the long queue, full of envy. If only all these customers were hers. No, she must move quickly on settling this marriage proposal. Zhou Xiaolian frowned and said, Please don't refer to her as widow all the time. It sounds so crude. She's going to be your daughter-in-law. Ji Mudan scoffed. Xiaolian, don't jump to conclusions. Whether she can become a part of the Zhou family all depends on my judgment. Remember, I am not the type of person who would bow down for the sake of 3 pecks of rice. Chapter 344. Grand Opening, Li Yanran's Invitation _5. People in leadership positions always have an air of arrogance about them. Let alone the Ji Mudan family, where almost everyone is a small-time leader. Just then, Zhou Xiaolian's eyes lit up as she pointed towards the side of the road, exclaiming, "Here she comes. Mom, look, that's Anai Yang's mother. Doesn't she look quite decent?" "Which one?" Zhou Xiaolian continued. "The one in the blue jacket carrying a child." "She still has such a small child?" Ji Mudan frowned. No, I cannot approve of this marriage. You're not seriously suggesting that your brother should raise someone else's child, Xiaolian?" Zhou Xiaolian chuckled. "Don't worry, they're wealthy. They won't need my brother to raise their kid. Mom, don't you think she's quite attractive?" Ji Mudan scrutinized the woman carefully, then announced, "She looks just like a vixen. Women like that can't handle a proper household." A flabbergasted Zhou Xiaolian asked, "Mom, how do you know she can't handle a household?" Ji Mudan responded, "Just look at how colorful her clothes are. How many widows do you see dressed like that?" There wasn't a man left in the house, yet she failed to pay attention to her dressing style. In any case, Ji Mudan did not approve of this potential daughter-in-law. Zhou Xiaolian carried on. "But they're rich. So what if they are? Besides, earning 20,000 yuan a month isn't much. For someone of your brother's caliber, finding a woman who earns 20,000 yuan a month is child's play." Zhou Xiaolian had been mentally rolling her eyes countless times. This old lady compared 20,000 yuan to 20 yuan as if it was nothing. It's like she thinks the Zhou family has their own golden mountain. Though her brother was quite eligible, finding a woman who earns 20,000 yuan a month and also looks decent was not as easy as she made it out to be. The more Ji Mudan looked at Anai Tsuehua, the more she found her disagreeable, her brows furrowing tightly. "Mom, she's actually a very decent person. Should I invite her over for a chat?" Zhou Xiaolian wasn't ready to give up yet. "Go ahead." Ji Mudan eventually relented, unable to resist the allure of the 20,000 yuan. Walking up to Anai Tsuehua, Zhou Xiaolian warmly greeted her. "Big sister, congratulations. Yang surely made you proud." Anai Tsuehua smiled and replied, "Thank you." Zhou Xiaolian took Anai Kuihua's arm. "Come, big sister, let's go chat over there." As Anai Tsuehua neared, Ji Mudan adjusted her clothes and hair, appearing ready to play the part of a mother-in-law scrutinizing her would-be daughter-in-law. For this encounter, Ji Mudan had specifically chosen to wear her finest clothes, looking to outshine her potential adversary. "Big sister, this is my mother." Zhou Xiaolian brought her along to Ji Mudan. While maintaining her composure, Ji Mudan looked Anai Tsuehua up and down. Despite Anai Tsuehua being wealthy, the Zhou family was a working-class household, so in terms of social status, Anai Tsuehua was marrying up. "Hello, madam." Anai Tsuehua politely greeted her. "Madam?" Ji Mudan subtly wrinkled her brow. Goodness, what an outdated formality. Wasn't this only used by rural people? How could the Zhou family allow such a woman to marry into their home? Like a stern school principal, Ji Mudan asked, "What's your name? How old are you?" Anai Tsuehua furrowed her brows slightly. What was this old woman trying to imply? Who begins a conversation by asking such questions? With a hint of apology, Anai Tsuehua replied, "I'm sorry, but I need to return to the shop. I'll leave now." Once she finished speaking, Anai Tsuehua, cradling little Anai Yun, took her leave. Ji Mudan was so enraged, she was practically hopping mad. What kind of attitude is that? Is that how she plans to treat her future mother-in-law? Giving me the cold shoulder even before she's married in. God knows what'll happen once they're married. A speechless Zhou Xiaolian replied, "Mom, you have to admit that you were out of line just now. Why did you even start off with such questions? You could have gone about it more subtly. People like her don't deserve to step through the doors of the Zhou family. Just because she has a little money, she thinks she's something special." Ji Mudan had a deep disdain for the rich. Zhou Xiaolian continued, "Mom, please calm down. Things aren't as bad as you're making it out to be. Let me go talk to her. We haven't even married her into the family yet. You can start teaching her once they're married and have their certificate. Then she'll be all yours to deal with." Zhou Xiaolian caught up to Anai Tsuehua and quickly apologized. "Big sister, I'm sorry about my mother. She was a bit abrupt just now, but please don't take it to heart. Hey Race, what's going on? You see, I have a brother." Chapter 345, Grand Opening Li Yanren's Invitation _6. Zhou Xiaolian was afraid that Anai Yang hadn't told Anai Tsuehua about the matter, so she explained it all over again, and specially boasted about how capable her brother was, and that they were all from working families. Anai Tsuehua replied, "Big sister, thank you for your kindness. But I was born a peasant woman. I'm afraid I'm not match for your brother. Besides, I have no plans to remarry right now." Zhou Xiaolian didn't get the rejection in Anai Kuihua's words, and hastily said, "You are a match, a perfect match. As the old saying goes, when marrying, marry a virtuous wife. Big sister, even though your personal condition is not as good as my brother's, I can tell you are quite virtuous. It's good that Anai Tsuehua knows her worth and realizes she's not a match for her brother." Anai Tsuehua continued, "I'm sorry, big sister, you should go find someone else." Zhou Xiaolian continued, "Big sister, you don't need to worry about other issues. My mother may have a foul mouth, but she means well. Once you married into our family, just sit and enjoy your blessings." Anai Tsuehua found Zhou Xiaolian to be too persistent, so she said bluntly, "Big sister, let me tell you the truth, I have no plans to remarry." After that, Anai Tsuehua turned and went into the shop. This time, Zhou Xiaolian understood what Anai Tsuehua meant. So she thinks her brother is not good enough? Ha! What a big appetite. A widow who nobody wanted, and she's still so picky. She really thinks she can marry into a good family. Zhou Xiaolian walked back to Ji Mudan with a complex expression. Ji Mudan said, "Xiaolian, let me make it clear to you. Firstly, I absolutely will not coax her. Secondly, I must make her apologize for her attitude just now. Otherwise, she can forget about marrying into our Zhou family in this lifetime." Zhou Xiaolian was also furious. She retorted, "You don't allow her to marry in our family? She might not even want our family." "What?" Ji Mudan widened her eyes in disbelief. "She's picky about our family? Does she know what a working family is?" Zhou Xiaolian sighed. "Mother, it's not about whether you accept her or not now. Forget it, no use talking more anyway, there's absolutely no hope for this matter." Ji Mudan was furious upon hearing that Anai Tsuehua didn't fancy her son. "I was the one who didn't fancy her first. Just a widow. Can't my son find whatever kind of girl he wants? I'm sure that woman is just pretending she doesn't like us because she's afraid of losing face." Ji Mudan muttered angrily. She almost cursed Anai Kuihua's ancestors. Just then Zhou Xiaolian saw something. "Mother, isn't that my aunt?" In the distance, a young man and a woman were helping an older woman with white hair towards Anai Yang's noodle restaurant. Ji Mudan immediately stopped muttering and looked over. "It is your aunt. Let's go over and say hello." Ji Mudan changed her condescending attitude, and became overly kind and affable as she walked to the trio. "Ah, isn't this my little aunt? What brings you here? Xiaolian's shop is just nearby. I hope you Xiaoxiu and Cici can come and sit." Zhou Xiaolian followed behind her and said, "Aunt, I haven't seen you for years, and Xiaoxiu and Cici too. Since you're here today, you must dine at my place before you leave." With the mother and daughter being so enthusiastic, everyone could tell that this old lady was not an ordinary person. In fact, the old lady was indeed extraordinary. This old lady was the mother of Shangguan Dehui, and the grandmother of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. The Shangguan family was just like the Mo family. Both were prestigious families that had stood for centuries. Shangguan's old lady squinted slightly. "I'm sorry, as one grows old, the memory is not as good as before. May I ask who you are?" The Zhou family and the Shangguan family were at best distant relatives. This distant relationship traced back to the sister of Shangguan's old lady, whose son's wife's cousin's sister-in-law's daughter was related. So it was normal that the old lady didn't recognize Ji Mudan and her daughter. Ji Mudan introduced herself formally. Listening from the side, Shangguan Su was afraid that Ji Mudan would suffocate from talking too much without being able to catch her breath. Such a distant relationship. And they still dared to recognize relatives randomly. How audacious. Indeed, poor people in a bustling city find no one paying attention to them, while the rich in the remote mountains have distant relatives. After listening for half a day, Shangguan's old lady still couldn't figure out what relationship Ji Mudan and her daughter had with their family. She turned her head and looked at Shangguan-su. Little Cece, let's hurry up and get in line. I'm telling you, the noodles at this place are really delicious. She had seen too many people recognizing relatives out of nowhere, like the people in front of her. The three of them walked towards the noodle restaurant. Ji Muden stepped forward and said, Little aunt, noodles are not nutritious. Why don't we go to Xiaolian's shop, let her cook something delicious and serve you properly? Zhou Xiaolian quickly added, Yes, auntie, let me cook something yummy, to serve you properly. The Shangguan family was a true prestigious family. Who wouldn't want to be related to them? Otherwise, would Ji Muden be so humble? Ever since she became a leader, Ji Muden had never bent over. Today was the first. Shangguan's old lady calmly said, The two of you, I am not your aunt. I do not know you, please do not follow us anymore. After saying that, the three of them went directly into the noodle restaurant and started lining up. Ji Muden sighed. The old lady of such a big family is indeed different. She's already so old, yet her mind is still so sharp. If Shangguan's old lattice mind could be a little more muddled, maybe today she could have recognized her as her niece. There were many people eating in the restaurant. Shangguan, she said, Grandma, brother, you line up here. I'll go next door to buy milk tea. Brother, do you want fully sweetened or half sweetened? Shangguan-su didn't understand what full or half sweet meant for a moment. Shangguan, she explained, You like it sweeter or milder? Shangguan-su said, Half sweetened is fine. Cece, I want a sweeter one. Shangguan's old lady looked at Shangguan-shi pitifully. Shangguan-shi was quite determined. Grandma, doctor, he said you have to eat less sweet. Chapter 346. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi under one. Why can't I eat sweets anymore? Elderly Madame Shangguan became worried as soon as she heard she couldn't have sweets anymore. Granny, you have diabetes, so eating too many sweets is bad for your health. Elderly Madame Shangguan started to play dumb in order to eat sweets. Since when do I have diabetes? I don't remember having diabetes at all. I don't care. I want to drink something sweet. Old baby, once you grow old, you revert to being a child. Shangguan Shi, feeling helpless, said, Granny, have you forgotten what the doctor told you? If you eat too much sugar, it will make your condition worse. Those damn idiots only know how to exaggerate the dangers. Elderly Madame Shangguan grumbled unhappily. I've been eating sugar all my life, and now that I'm old, they suddenly won't let me eat any. This year, elderly Madame Shangguan is already 88 years old. Apart from a slight case of diabetes, she's still robust. Cece, your grandmother's good grandson, will you let me have something sweet to drink? Elderly Madame Shangguan held on to Shangguan Zai's clothing, begging for sweet food with a childish charm. Just once, Granny promises only once, and Granny swears it. Elderly Madame Shangguan raised 3 of her fingers. Granny, it doesn't matter if you swear 5 times. You really can't eat anything too sweet. Elderly Madame Shangguan grunted lightly. Are you still Granny's good grandson? Shangguan, she smiled and said, Granny, I'm going to get you milk tea now. Elderly Madame Shangguan proudly lifted her face, ignoring Shangguan Shi completely. Although there's a line waiting for milk tea as well, the speed at which the cups are served is much faster than for noodles, so Shangguan Shi quickly returned with 3 cups of milk tea. Granny, this is yours, this is my brother's. This one's mine. Elderly Madame Shangguan pointed at Shangguan Zai's cup and said, Young fellow, I want to drink this one. No, Shangguan Shi shook his head. This one's mine, mine is full sugar. Why is yours full sugar and mine half sugar? Shangguan Shi with a helpless tone. Granny, you need to listen to the doctor's advice. Elderly Madame Shangguan was indignant. I've never listened to anyone in my life, not even your grandfather. Why should I listen to that brat doctor? Shangguan Shi quickly inserted the straw into his cup and drank a large gulp of milk tea. I've already had a sip, Granny. Do you still want it? Elderly Madame Shangguan distastefully. Who wants your leftovers? I have my own. The trio had been in line for a while. Their cups of milk tea were almost finished by the time they got to their seats. What would you all like to eat? A soft, familiar voice came from above. That voice seemed vaguely familiar. Sheng Guansu looked up and saw a familiar face. "And I Yang? Is that you? Mr. Shengguan?" And I Yang gave a soft smile. Shengguan Shi and elderly Madame Shengguan both looked at I Yang with awe in their eyes. "My goodness! This young lady is too beautiful." Elderly Madame Shengguan felt she was more lovely than Change from the stories. Shengguan's eyes gaze swung from Shengguan Su to I Yang and back. A faint smile played at the corners of her mouth. There aren't many people who can prompt her brother to initiate a greeting. Shengguan Su asked promptly, "Is this noodle restaurant yours?" "Yes." I Yang nodded. No wonder I Yang could have savings close to 6 figures in the bank. Shengguan Su then ordered, "Would like 2 bowls of pickled vegetable noodles and 1 bowl of beef noodles, along with a plate of Kanto stew." The beef noodles and Kanto stew are both new items on the menu. I Yang nodded. "Okay." Elderly Madame Shengguan looked at I Yang, then spoke gently. "Young lady, I would like my pickled vegetable noodles to be spicy, and the Kanto stew should be on the spicier side as well. This young lady is becoming more lovely the more I look at her, like a blooming flower." Shengguan Shi immediately protested. "Granny, you can't eat anything too spicy." "Sister, don't listen to my granny. We will take everything with normal flavors." Elderly Madame Shengguan immediately started to act the drama queen. "They won't let me have sweets, now they won't let me eat spicy foods. What's the point of living as an old woman like me?" I Yang smiled and said, "Chilies are rich in vitamins A, B, C, E, K, and also carotene, folic acid, and so on. A moderate intake of chili can help the body expel toxins, speed up metabolism, increase sweating, adjust body functions, and can also have a detoxifying effect. Moreover, it can help to extend one's life. Granny, don't worry, I will adjust the level of chili for you according to your health condition." Chapter 347. The lovely Mrs. Shengguan heavily mistreats the family of Qianzhaodi_2. I Yang's remarks completely astonished the 3 generations at the table. Ordinary people wouldn't know so much about chili peppers. Chili peppers are a very common vegetable in daily life, and people only know that they're spicy and appetizing. Other than doctors and nutritionists, few people are aware of its numerous benefits. If she understands even chili peppers so clearly, just how vast is her knowledge? After witnessing I Yang's fluent French, Shengguan Su was astounded by her for the second time. She resembled the calm, placid deep sea. You'd never know what treasures lay beneath the surface, each revelation bringing a unique surprise. "Young lady, you're impressive." Sparks practically twinkled in the old lady Shengguan's eyes. "You outshine my 2 turtle-like grandkids by a mile. I like you." Old Madame Shengguan was a very cute old lady. To her, all people are equal, and she didn't look down on individual practitioners, nor would she discriminate against anyone because of their occupations. I Yang smiled gently. "You're too kind, ma'am." After settling on the food order, I Yang went to take orders from the other tables. Old Madame Shengguan looked at Shengguan Su slyly. "Xiaoxiu, what is the name of this young lady?" "I Yang," Shengguan Su explained. "I as a single person, and Yang like smoke rising from warm jade under the sun." Lan Tian jade is a type of pale blue jade with a hint of light green. When sunlight shines upon it, a hazy blue mist arises akin to smoke, creating an ethereal landscape. Shengguan Shi exclaimed, "Wow, what a beautiful name. Truly, her name matches her." Old Madame Shengguan continued, "How many people are in the young lattice family? How old is she this year?" Tongue-tied, Shengguan Su retorted, "Are you the director of the Family Planning Bureau doing a census?" Old Madame Shengguan sighed. "How can such a pretty girl not be my granddaughter? If she were my granddaughter, I'd go into the temple to burn incense every day." Shengguan Su, Shengguan Shi. "Is it really okay for you to disdain your own grandchildren like this?" Soon I Yang brought over 3 bowls of noodles, and a portion of Kanto stew. "It smells so good." Old Madame Shengguan rubbed her hands together impatiently. "Careful, it's hot. This is your complimentary dish." "Okay, thank you, young lady." Old Madame Shengguan continued. "Young lady, I heard others calling you Yang Yang. May I call you that as well?" Old Madame Shengguan had her own plans and naturally wanted to get on good terms with I Yang. Moreover, she genuinely liked Yang. Yang nodded, of course. Old Madame Shangguan smiled. Yang, thank you for putting up with an old woman like me. Then I'll call you Yang too. Shangguan Shi introduced herself cheerfully. Yang, my name is Shangguan Shi, and Shangguan Su is my brother. Just call me Cici. Yang being straightforward responded, Cici. Shangguan Su. Going by this trend, shouldn't Yang call him Xiu? But before Yang got to call him Xiu, she went off to take orders for other tables. Old Madame Shangguan stirred her bowl. This is my first time eating beef noodles. You guys should try the pickled vegetable noodles. They're really delicious. Shangguan Shi took a whiff. Indeed it smells delicious. Old Madame Shangguan pouted. Of course. Would I have brought you all here if the food was bad? Old Madame Shangguan was an experienced foodie. After tasting a bite of the pickled vegetable noodles, Shangguan Shi gasped. Oh my gosh! It really is delicious. No wonder Grandma sneaks here every day to eat. Feeling guilty, old Madame Shangguan rubbed her nose. I don't sneak here to eat every day. Seeing them react this way, Shangguan Su decided to have a bite too. The taste was truly astonishing. The beef noodles are delicious too. Old Madame Shangguan plucked a pickled vegetable noodle from Shangguan Zai's bowl. Let me try your pickled vegetable noodles. Then you need to let me try your beef noodles too. The grandmother and granddaughter sampled the noodles from each other's bowls. Although all three of them had tasted exotic delicacies, these 3 bowls of noodles still amazed them. This fascinating sensation could only be understood by those who tasted it firsthand. When leaving, old Madame Shangguan specifically told Yang goodbye. Yang, we're heading home. The restaurant was quite busy, with Yang hardly taking a break. But she always carried a slight smile on her face. Even though she seemed never to tire, her smile was contagious, even making Shangguan Su unconsciously smile back. Chapter 348. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi 3. Take care, goodbye. Yang saw the trio to the door. Goodbye, Yang. Shangguan Shi waved at Yang. Goodbye. Once out of the noodle restaurant, Shangguan Shi tugged at Shangguan Zu's sleeve. Brother, that girl Yang is quite impressive. She's well-mannered and cultured, just like a young lady of a noble family. The Shangguan matriarch nodded repeatedly. Indeed, she is quite impressive. You need to put in effort, Xiaoxiu. The grandmother also made a cute cheering gesture. Shangguan Su replied. Grandmother, what are you thinking? The matriarch glanced at him. What am I thinking? Of course, I'm considering my future granddaughter-in-law. Shangguan Su was speechless. Grandmother, you're thinking too much. Perhaps. The matriarch nodded in agreement. There's no way a beautiful girl like Yang would be interested in you. She's not blind. When one gets old, it's easier to let the mind wander. Shangguan Su. I really am your grandson. Indeed, the matriarch proudly replied. If you weren't my grandson, you wouldn't have the privilege of my criticism. Shangguan Su. Shangguan Shi chuckled. Brother, seriously, you have to try harder. Yang is exceptional. She must have a lot of suitors. Shangguan Su replied. We are just friends, and I don't have any other intentions. Really? Shangguan Shi arched an eyebrow. Really? Shangguan Su responded earnestly. The Shangguan grandmother sighed. Even if you had other intentions, Yang wouldn't be interested in you. If I were Yang, I wouldn't be interested in you either. I would look for someone tall, handsome and rich. Someone more handsome than Tony Liang Chuy. At this time, the 1984 version of Dear Cauldron, starring Tony Liang Chuy, had just come out. The show was a hit and gained a group of dedicated fans, and the Shangguan matriarch was one of them. Shangguan Su. This is really my grandmother. After the noodle restaurant closed for the night, Yang went to the vegetable market. As soon as she got to the market, she saw Zhaodi holding a bright red camellia flower and looking around expectantly. Zhaodi. Sister Yang. When she saw Yang, Zhaodi's eyes gleamed with delight. In the dark, bleak days, Yang had become her only salvation, her only light, illuminating her path forward. Zhaodi, this is for you. and Na Yang handed her a prepared lunchbox. Thank you, sis. You're welcome. And Na Yang patted her on the head and took 5 yuan out from her pocket. This is for your expenses today. Zhaodi took the money and hesitated a bit before saying, Sister and Na Yang, you don't have to give me 5 yuan every day. And Na Yang smiled subtly. It's fine, take it. After parting ways with Na Yang, Zhaodi went back to her secret hideaway, sitting at the entrance of the alley, carefully opening the lunchbox, filled with fish slices, noodles, meatballs, and vegetables. Zhaodi took a bite of the noodles and narrowed her eyes in content. So delicious. She had never eaten such delicious noodles in her life. After finishing the noodles and hiding the money, Zhaodi headed home hobbling. When she got home, Qian Shengqian, Zhao Xiaoxi, and Qian Wangkai had already had dinner, leaving her a bowl of cold rice soup. Zhaodi gulped down the soup and went back to her room. It was more of a pigsty than a room, with a faint smell of stench still lingering in the air. Zhaodi didn't mind. She reached under the bed and pulled out a peach pit. The pit was small and red, and one side already had a small notch from being rubbed against the ground. Zhaodi took the pit and began rubbing the other side on the ground. If she could smooth the other side, the pit could be shaped like a small vegetable basket. Just then the door was kicked harshly open. Before Zhaodi could react, her hair was roughly grabbed. Qian Shengqian dragged Zhaodi outside. You little beast. You're getting bold now. Even learned to steal money. Dad, I did not steal any money. Dare to argue, do you? Zhao Xiaoxi approached with a rolling pin, striking Zhaodi's back forcefully. Qian Shengqian also ridiculed Zhaodi with punches and kicks. The couple was ruthless, showing no mercy. You little slut. How dare you steal my money? Do you want to die? This will teach you to steal. This will teach you. Chapter 349. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi 4. Qian Zhaodi cried out. I didn't steal the money, I didn't. But Qian Shengqian and Zhao Xiaoxi didn't give her any chance to explain. In no time, they had beaten Qian Zhaodi until she was black and blue. While feasting on a large chicken thigh, Qian Wangkai clapped and cheered. It's her who stole. Beat up this money-wasting brat to death. So it wasn't you who stole? Zhao Xiaoxi spoke cruelly. Then where's my money? Was it stolen by a ghost? You little parasite, I'll beat you to death today. Qian Zhaodi's heart-wrenching cries attracted the neighbors. What on earth did the child do wrong to deserve such a beating from you? If you keep beating her like this, someone might end up dead. The person speaking was an old woman with white hair. Grandma Gu. Qian Zhaodi hid behind Grandma Gu in fear. Zhao Xiaoxi stood with her hands on her hips. You think we want to hit her? This little parasite, she's even learned how to steal money now. I didn't, Grandma Gu, I didn't. Qian Zhaodi shook her head, her face streaming with tears. Good child, Grandma believes you. Grandma Gu wiped the tears from Qian Zhaodi's face and continued. Shengqian Xiaoxi, listen to my advice. You must do good deeds to have good outcomes. If you are unwilling to keep Zhaodi, you can give her to me to raise. You want to raise her? Give me money, Qian Shengqian said. How much do you want? Grandma Gu replied. Qian Shengqian said, by the standard of 1,000 yuan per year for 12 years, you should give me 12,000 yuan. 12,000? At that time, a farmer's annual income was just over 100. 12,000 was astronomically high. Qian Shengqian was simply asking for an exorbitant amount. Qian Shengqian continued. If you don't have the money, stay out of my family's business. Even if a life is lost, it's my own family matter, none of your business. You little parasite, come here. He was Qian Zhaodi's father. Even if he killed Qian Zhaodi, no one could do anything to him. Qian Shengqian dragged Qian Zhaodi into the house and shut the door to continue beating her. Desolate howling noises kept coming from inside the house. Oh, what a sin! Grandma Gu sighed and shook her head. The couple kept beating Zhaodi for a whole 20 minutes, only stopping when she passed out. Qian Wangkai walked over and kicked Qian Zhaodi. Mom, has this money waster died yet? Just then, a large renminbi bill fell out of Qian Wangkai's pocket. Qian Wangkai's eyes widened in shock. Zhao Xiaoxi picked up the bill, surprised. Isn't this the 10 yuan I lost? Wangkai, how did it end up with you? As she suspected the money was stolen by Qian Zhaodi, Zhao Xiaoxi put a mark on each bill. So, she recognized at a glance that it was her money. Qian Wangkai immediately burst into tears. He was very wronged. Qian Shengqian said, "Why are you angry at our son? Is it just about 10 yuan? Zhao Xiaoxi bent down to pick up Qian Wangkai, soothing him. "Wangkai, I'm sorry. Mom didn't mean it. Don't cry. If you want money, you can ask Mom. Why did you have to steal it?" The couple took their son back to their bedroom without even taking a second glance at Qian Zhaodi, who lay unconscious on the floor. Even though Qian Zhaodi had fainted, she continued to tightly grip the peach pit in her hand. After Anai Yang returned, she began studying the burn ointment. She had observed carefully, although Qian Zhaodi's burns looked terrifying, they were not very severe. Moreover, Qian Zhaodi was still young. As long as she used the medicine in time, she would recover completely. In fact, Anai Yang had started developing the burn ointment the first time she saw Qian Zhaodi. It just lacked a few steps to complete. The next day, Anai Yang found Qian Zhaodi holding a camellia flower at the entrance of the market as usual. But unlike usual, Qian Zhaodi was covered in wounds today. "Zhaodi, what happened to you?" Anai Yang got a shock. "It's nothing." Qian Zhaodi gave a slight smile. "My parents did this." Anai Yang frowned slightly. "Why would they hit you?" "They were too harsh." Qian Zhaodi nonchalantly said, "I'm used to it, sister. You don't need to be surprised." Anai Yang held Qian Zhaodi's hand. "Come with me to my shop. I'll apply ointment for you. Child abuse is a crime. I'll take you to the police." You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.